Welcome back to James Madison High School in Brooklyn, New York, where we think, anyway, Joe, we are just moments away from opening kickoff between the New York Dolphins and the Empire State Demon Knights. Checking my phone now, Joe, but about a little over 45 minutes ahead of where we were supposed to kick off in this one, 4:15. Now the teams meet at midfield to determine who wins our coin toss. But Joe, we understand it was an officials problem. They didn't have enough officials here at the game. We got handed, of course, some problems, as I mentioned earlier on the broadcast, the vantage point that we have. But Joe and I will do our best to bring you all the action here today. And Joe, we should have a pretty good one, a repeat of a game that was played 2 weeks ago. That was probably the closest game in the EFA this season.
Yeah, it's certainly up there, Dave. And that game saw the Demon Knights fall by just a single point. And obviously, the late start to this game shouldn't take away from the excitement around this matchup. It is going to be a very meaningful matchup in terms of the standings. The Dolphins come in with a record of 2-0, looking to remain unbeaten in their EFA tenure. The Demon Knights hoping to tie New York in the standings with a win today and move to 2-1. All of the teams in the league, in the EFA, scheduled to be in action this weekend. So we will see how the standings shake out. Perhaps we'll get a look at the standings a bit later in the broadcast. But this game, a very meaningful game in terms of standings. And if you're the Demon Knights, you hate to see the season series swept against you by this New York Dolphins team. So you know there's a little bit of extra emphasis on this matchup on the side of Empire State for that reason as well.
Sure, absolutely. And we'll take a look at the standings in just a moment here, Joe. Give people a chance here. Every team in the EFA has played 2 games to this point. Of course, every team had off during the Labor Day holiday, but you see them on your screen now. The Dolphins and Bandits are holding court. They're 2-0 so far. Empire State and Patterson at 1-1. And then you have Hudson Valley, who lost to the Demon Knights last week at 0-2, along with the Legion. So 2 at the top, 2 in the middle, 2 at the bottom. This game could disrupt that quite a bit here in this one.
And it's good to see parity throughout the EFA and teams jockeying for position. If you only watched the first half of the game last week, you missed quite the comeback by the New York Bandits. It looked like the Patterson Gravediggers had that game against New York well in hand. That was not the case. 40 straight points scored in that game by the Bandits. 34 of them scored in the second half as New York moved to 2-0 during a season in which many expect them to compete for an EFA championship. The Bandits certainly made a statement against Patterson on their home turf last week. Obviously, the Mountaineers and the Legion still looking to get in the win column, but if you're the Demon Knights and the Dolphins right now, in this game, you could very well be playing for a share of first place. Should the Bandits lose this week, one of these 2 teams could find themselves in that position. If the Demon Knights were to win, we could have a 3-way tie atop the EFA following the conclusion of play this week. So a lot on the line for each of these 2 teams, and we'll see how the standings shake out through week 4 at the conclusion of play this weekend.
Absolutely, Joe. Well said. And it looks like it will be the Dolphins who will receive the ball first. And just for you folks at home who are watching, your vantage point is also our vantage point. We are in the back of the end zone by the corner pylon closest to the Dolphins side of the field. So our vantage point is not the best, obviously, but we will try and get you as many of the plays as possible. Looks like back deep right away, we could tell that Zachary Plaza, number 1, is back there along with Devon Bryant for the Dolphins, who will look to give him a start. And as Joe alluded to with the standings, this matchup already happened 22-21 in favor of the Dolphins back in the second week of the season. That game, Joe, was a game we were supposed to cover right here at James Madison High School. Instead, it got moved to Granny Road in Long Island, and we could not travel to that game, so we ended up not covering that game. We ended up missing a good one, but this is kind of the game that we were supposed to have all along.
And a game that we were very much looking forward to ahead of our scheduled coverage a couple of weeks ago. But we get the matchup we've been waiting for here today, and our first look at this Demon Knights team in the 2024 season, a team we've become very familiar with during the past 3 years.
First look at these dark red uniforms, as it is a squib kick, borderline onside kick by Caballero. It is picked up by one of the up men, and it travels ahead to about the 40-yard line. So the Dolphins will have very good field position on their first drive of the game. And they will put the ball in their very capable hands of quarterback number 12, Dmitry Kafko Jr., who, Joe, you saw a lot of on the opening day of the season.
A quarterback who is mobile, can buy time with his legs, and this offense for the Dolphins was an offense that was very balanced in week one. Despite the fact that they had a commanding lead, they were still willing to put the ball in the air, ran it well in that game against the Legion as well. And going back to that kickoff for just a moment, there aren't many players you can trust to throw your touchdown passes on offense, kick the ball on special teams, and then make the tackle on that same kickoff. Caballero, a linebacker, a quarterback, a kicker, and a punter. He can do it all for the Demon Knights. We saw that on that script kickoff.
Yep, he's in the middle of the field on just about every Demon Knights play that you will see today. Every once in a while he'll go to the bench for a breather, but middle linebacker, as you mentioned, quarterback, and, of course, the kicker on kickoffs and the punter on special teams. Kafko will work out of the shotgun on first down. Runners in motion, and the give is underneath. Big pile in the middle there, but doing the running was Kendall Samuel right up the gut. Looks like he got about 4 or 5, Joe, maybe a little bit less, 3 yards here as we look at the down markers on the near side of the field.
And I think one of the biggest challenges for us today will be gauging down and distance. We are directly aligned with the sideline, and the sticks not viewable at a great angle here this evening.
Yep, and like I mentioned at the very top, we were supposed to be on the 3rd floor of the actual school building here, James Madison High School. Instead, we got relegated to this area of the field. Definitely takes away that vantage point, but Kafko's going to look in the air for the first time, and he sheds it out to the right side via the screen. Big pile up there as well. A nice tackling there and gang tackling to put down the receiver, and that was indeed Kendall Samuel again.
And it was Shelby Scott who was the first one there to make that emphatic tackle. He had some help from the other defensive backs on the outside, but Scott from his linebacker spot sprinting into the flat, read that screen pass early, and in week one we saw the Dolphins with a very solid screen game. You have to be on the lookout for that here on 3rd down. We'll see if maybe they try and put the ball downfield a bit or if they look for just enough to pick up this first down.
And it looks to be a 3rd and 2 via the naked eye here. Again, going via the down markers. Kafko will continue to roll out in the shotgun, and they go with the heavy backfield. Helmet comes off, surging ahead. Very close to the first down was number 32, Ulysses Gabriel Rivera. Normally plays on the defense side of the ball, as we got some guys tangled up already here in this one, Joe. Flags come out, and exceptions are made.
Well, that was number 4, Justin Stewart of the Demon Knights, tangled up with number 15, Jahari Scott of the Dolphins. Now, based on what I saw after the play, there's a good chance that personal foul is going to go against Scott. It looked like he refused to let go, one of his teammates trying to wrestle him away from Stewart. But from our vantage point, really tough to tell if that was indeed the case. Could be some offsetting personal fouls coming up here, but if not, the result of that play would stand if it was good for a first down, and then the 15-yard penalty would be assessed after that. If they didn't get it and the penalty went against the Dolphins, that's going to set up a 4th down and long, which would likely force a punt if it's a 15-yard penalty.
And, Joe, the down marker is short of the first down. So what we would be looking at here is a 4 and less than 1, because they are literally right next to each other, the down marker and the first down marker. We do have 4 officials that have started this game. Not a one is wearing the white hat, though, Joe. So we're not really sure who the head official is, but trying to pick up who that might be with the signal. Looks like there is a talking to going on with both benches at this point. Now they'll work over to the Demon Knights side. But the team's off to a start that's indicative of a team that's playing for the 2nd time against one another. Perhaps picking up where they left off from that first game. But it is 4th and very short here, Joe.
Offsetting penalties was the call, so no difference in terms of this upcoming 4th down snap. It is 4th and very short.
And it will remain Gabriel Rivera in the background, or in the backfield, I should say. The lone running back powers ahead, and now we will have to see where the official down marker is. It looks to be enough for the first down, at least according to the side judge and the body language on the Dolphins side of the field anyway. But we'll keep our eyes peeled on the spot of this ball. First down.
That was awfully close from my vantage point. It is so tough to tell based on our position relative to the sticks, but when you have a big back in the backfield that you can hand it off to in those situations and trust to pick up a first down, that makes life a lot easier for an offense. However, the Demon Knights look unhappy about something, and
well, what the Demon Knights are shouting from their sideline is that they actually lost a yard on the play, and yet they still were able to pick up the first down. So now the officials are having a conversation with one another, because you would think if that ball was put backwards, Joe, at least on the spot, then there's no way that could be a first down. But they're trying to get it right here. The ball is right inside the 50.
You would think it'd be a relatively straightforward ruling if the ball is spotted ahead of where they snapped it. In all likelihood, that would be enough for a first down. They were very close. If not, it's Demon Knights football. So maybe one of the side judges had a different perspective and ruled the ball past the line to gain, and maybe a ruling was overruled elsewhere.
Well, it's first down,
no
matter what. And they are going to move the sticks. The ball at about the 48-yard line of the Dolphins. So still on their own side of the field here, but 4 fresh downs. They ran the ball 2 out of their first 3 times, of course, with the exception of the screen pass to Kendall Samuel. And a lot of these plays, Joe, early in the game, of course, setting up for the option for Kafko that he likes to run plenty. This time it's a sweep off the left side and pummeled out of bounds line, close to the first down. But once again, that was Sanders on the rush, and he was able to get the edge.
And you mentioned how much Kafko Jr. likes the option, and they ran it right there. Demon Knights defense has to be well aware of the quarterback's ability to use his legs and keep that football. And with their eyes in the backfield, that allowed Samuel to get to the outside and gain the sideline, past the sticks for a first down. And I think if you're the Demon Knights, a team that likes to run the ball and to dominate possession, if you're allowing the Dolphins to do that on the offensive side, it makes it much harder for you to play the game that you're looking to play on offense.
Gain of exactly 10 on the play. It's a 1st and 10 at the Demon Knights' 42-yard line. Kafko will work out of the shotgun. The fake give underneath. He is looking downfield. He has to roll out, able to pick up his eyes, but he has no choice but to dip out of bounds close to the line of scrimmage. He might have gotten a few on that one.
I thought he lost 1 or 2. But I don't have the binoculars, so you can confirm that for me.
It looks like a loss of about 1, Joe. The line of scrimmage was the 42, and now I see the side judge planted at the 43. So we'll call that a 2nd and 11. But positive thing for the Empire State Demon Knights on this drive, Joe, is that they weren't fooled by the play fake there underneath. They know, having seen what Kafko can do outside the pocket, they were very aware of him rolling out on that play.
Bit of a hard count there.
Absolutely, everybody stays home. Kafko looking pass all the way. Takes a couple of steps up in the pocket, now 180s to his left. Still looking, he looks sideline and throws that one essentially away and out of harm's way. Breaking late on that play was Aaron Woods near our pylon here. Joe was asking for the ball. Doesn't understand why it didn't come to him, but either way, 3rd and 11 coming up.
Well, it looked like he was trying to work his way back toward the quarterback and back toward the line of scrimmage, and I saw him flailing his arms and calling for that football. He had a defender right in his hip pocket, so I don't know if they would have gained much, especially if he caught that ball moving back toward the line of scrimmage.
So a big play here in that area of the field where the Dolphins could certainly punt and pin the Demon Knights back inside their own 20 or 10 if they don't pick up the first down here, or they're in that no man's land where they would likely go as well. It'll all be a result of this play. High snap, the fake underneath. It's Kafko running all the way, and a good open field tackle limits the gain on the play to about 4 or 5. So this will be well short. It'll be a 4th and about 6 or 7.
We've said Luckney Lambert's name many times in the past on that play. He made a great tackle on Kafko Jr. to prevent him from having any shot at picking up a first down. It looked like he might gain the edge if he was able to break that one tackle. He did have a block in front of him from his wide receiver with several more Demon Knights defenders working their way toward that sideline. But I think that tackle probably prevented Kovko Jr. from getting within a yard or two of the line to gain. That makes it fourth and just a bit more manageable, and the Dolphins are lining up to go for it.
Yep, fourth and a short 7, long 6 here. The ball spotted at the 38-yard line, and they have to get just inside the 32 for the first. Kovko all the way. Has time to scan, looks underneath, and the pass was off the hands of Samuel. Almost intercepted on the bounce, but Demon Knights were right there to make the play, and they will take over on downs.
And Dave, I think it was probably to the benefit of the Demon Knights that they didn't intercept that football, because that would have netted them a loss of about 20 relative to where that football was snapped. So probably a good thing that that interception wasn't caught, but we've seen early in this game when the Dolphins have looked to put the ball in the air, there hasn't been much there. The Demon Knights secondary did a good job on that drive, and we saw some good open field tackling. And I think that was really the difference between the Demon Knights getting their defense off the field and getting the football back for their offense, and this drive continuing perhaps even closer to the end zone.
So we'll get to see the Demon Knights for the first time offensively here after yielding good field position to the Dolphins on the initial drive. The Dolphins able to net a first down, but that's all. And Ricardo Caballero will work under center. Lone running back is Anthony Bowles-Lucrecio. They run to that right side with Lucrecio. He ducks under a couple of tacklers for minimal yards. Might have gotten to the 40 on that play. And if so, it's a gain of about 2.
And something else to note on Caballero, he was not out there on defense on that first drive. We haven't seen that much, and you have to think that lends itself to a more efficient Demon Knights offense. It's just impossible to operate the same way as the quarterback when you've been out there for a long drive on defense. So we do know Empire State likes to run the ball quite a bit. We're familiar with a lot of their playmakers on the outside, but Bowles-Lucrecio, a new face on this Demon Knights offense.
And out on an island on the left side is Christian Grizzle. As looks like a fumbled snap, perhaps. No, it was actually given off to the left. At least they feigned like it was. Caballero just kind of dipped forward. But off left side, they gain another couple, trying to pick up the down marker here. Looks to be about the 45, so we're looking at about a 3rd and 3 or 4.
And if the Demon Knights can get it to 3rd and short, that's a position where they can have a lot of success. We know that they like to run the football. We know they are capable of picking up yards on the ground. If you're at 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 effectively, you probably have 2 downs to get it. You have to feel good about being in that position if you're Empire State.
So Caballero continues to work under center. Once again, gives left side, and they plow forward once again with Lucrecio, and he is going to be awfully close. Although the Dolphins coaching staff pumping up their fists, saying 4th down here. It'll be 4th and about 1.
I don't think there's much doubt the Demon Knights will look to go for this. The question is, do they hand it off again? We've seen in this situation, the Demon Knights have run bootlegs. They have been, at times, quite aggressive in their play calling in these spots. More specifically on the goal line rather than a 4th down shy of midfield, but I think you have to watch out for that bootleg if you're the Dolphins. Maybe Caballero keeps it on a quarterback sneak, and they try and push him forward. We'll see how close the back lines up to the quarterback here.
Yeah, no one's really back deep, and Caballero can punt from about 4 or 5 yards back. He takes this one under center. He is going to roll out, and he has got a receiver on the left side, and the catch is made by Grizzle. He was left open, Joe. That pass might have been a little bit underthrown, if anything, but Grizzle makes the play and a first down, Demon Knights.
Speaking of aggressive play calls, Dave, how about that one? They throw it downfield on 4th and 1, and Caballero had quite a bit of time given the circumstances. You would think that on a 4th down and short, you're not going to have much time to get the football out if you're the quarterback. But if you took a look at the pre-snap alignment, I don't think the Dolphins completely sold out on a run. They were in what appeared to be a 2-safety look from my angle. 2 safeties lined up just inside the hashes close to the line of scrimmage, but 2 safeties nonetheless. And it looked like Grizzle sat down behind the corner and to the left, or I should say the right, our left, of one of those 2 safeties. He made a nice catch in traffic.
Continuing under center works Caballero. The fake give, and now the option run on the right side to Grizzle. Forward pass, look like, yep. Lost him through the traffic a little bit.
Flag on the play,
Yeah,
Dave. Flag on the play.
And it was a flag. But there was some misdirection certainly going on. Grizzle came from the left side to the right. We'll keep our eyes peeled here on the official. It looked like Caballero was going to give it to Lucrecio, and then coming across him was Grizzle. Not sure if he shoveled it forward or handed it off. Either way, this looks like it might be coming back.
The flag came out pretty early on that play, Dave. It was thrown in the area of holding, but the Demon Knights, with some misdirection there, gave Grizzle a lot of running room. And if there's one player on this Demon Knights offense that you don't want to see get the ball in the open field, it's Grizzle. And he showed us why on that run.
Now the Demon Knights are hot, as you could see. Number 77, Sean Spencer, of course, the man in the middle of this Demon Knights team, taking exception to this call as the referees are once again conferencing for this one, Joe. And we'll mention it again. We are playing with 4 officials in this one.
And I always think, and this is just my opinion, perhaps others may look at it as a bid and an effort to get the call right, but whenever I see a very lengthy discussion following a play, for me that's never a good sign, because if the discussion isn't brief with someone taking the lead and having a definitive opinion and an answer to what the call should have been, I think the more time it takes, the more likely it is that they're just simply unsure and are making a decision with a lack of evidence or a lack of conviction. You never want to see that. They don't have access to the footage to come over and look at a replay. They don't have any assistance from the outside, any video review of any kind. So they're operating solely based on memory. And if the flag was thrown, somebody had to see something.
Yeah. And I took my headset off, Joe, just trying to eavesdrop on what the 2 sidelines are saying. But there's so much yelling going on out there, I really couldn't pick up anything definitive. So I don't know what the issues are here or what someone saw or where. But either way, the Demon Knights, if this one does come back, it'll be the first time that they've been interrupted via the penalty on this drive. And we mentioned this with the Demon Knights several times last year when we covered them, is some of these penalties have the ability to derail good progressive drives that they have. And for a team, Joe, that likes to run the football as much as ESDK, those holding calls can almost be immediate drive killers.
Yeah, when you put the ball on the ground as much as the Demon Knights, getting a holding penalty that sets you back 10 yards really makes things a lot more difficult. We've seen on 4th and short already in this game, this team is capable of putting the ball in the air, so make no mistake about it. This Demon Knights team can pass the football, but I think any team operates best when they are firmly grounded in their system, and we know that the offense they like to run is a ground and pound offense. They like to run between the tackles. Every once in a while, the toss goes to the outside, and we see that misdirection that leads to the jet sweep. As finally the call is made, it is holding against the Demon Knights, so they'll back up 10 yards. But a penalty like that, as I said, Dave, it gets you out of the offense you're looking to run, and that can be a drive killer, as you said.
Yep, and there's definitely some contrast between the uniforms, but that's where things get tough in the trenches, too. You have, a kind of a red jersey, red-orange kind of tinge to it, like a fire red, going up against the pinks of the Dolphins, and those jerseys start tangling up. It's hard to decipher who's who at the line of scrimmage. But in any event, the Demon Knights will have a 1st down and 20 here after the 10-yard penalty. There was some movement early. This might be a free play. No, now they whistle it down. They did go deep on that play, and it would have been complete to Liddy, but that's because everybody kind of gave up on the play. Looks like the Demon Knights will get 5 of these yards back.
And it looks like the frustration for the Demon Knights has reached a boiling point as well. It just seems like, regardless of what happens, they are on the short end right now. And the question is, was it Empire State that committed the penalty?
It was the Dolphins, Joe. I did pick up the call via the binoculars with the officials, but
well, that hurts then,
offside,
because typically that one is allowed to play through, and the Dolphins appeared to have a lapse in coverage or perhaps just stopped playing with the whistles that followed the initial whistle signaling the penalty.
So it'll be a 1st and 15 after all of this, after the 5-yard penalty. Seems like forever ago, Christian Grizzle converting on a big play down the field, setting the Demon Knights up for the first time in Dolphins territory. Caballero throwing all the way. He's under intense pressure, and he will be sandwiched between a pair of Dolphins. Coming in first on the play was number 11, Shaquem Peguis. And perhaps O'Neal Parks as well coming in on that play.
Peguis and Parks were the two Dolphins in on that sack. And if you're Empire State there on the play fake, you have to give your quarterback more time than that. Obviously, you know that on that play action, the Dolphins are probably going to be favoring the run, which means the rush is going to be coming. And on that particular play, they just didn't have the blockers to protect Caballero, who was taken down by a pair of New York defenders. That's going to set up 3rd and very long.
Yep, 2nd and 22 coming up.
2nd or 3rd?
Yeah, 2nd. The two immediate penalties, Joe, back-to-back on 1st down. Negated the run, and then, of course, the encroachment penalty. Caballero will go back to pass. Look, in the flat, it was corralled at first by Lucrecio, but he just couldn't come down with it. He was being harassed the entire way by Javon Brown in the flat. Wouldn't have went for much, Joe, but now it's 3rd and very long.
Well, if he managed to catch that, it wouldn't have gone for much. If the ball had been on target and hit him in stride, there was some potential there. He had a step or two on the linebacker in coverage, but the ball was thrown behind him. He had to try and tip it to himself and very nearly juggled it into a very dangerous spot and a potential interception. So fortunately for the Demon Knights, it falls incomplete, and now it will set up 3rd down and very long.
So obviously if you're the Demon Knights, you'd like to get a big chunk of this back, put you in a position to go for it on 4th down. Otherwise, you would like to assume they would punt with a 4th and very long from the 50-yard line. In any event, here comes what they offer on 3rd down. Once again, it's Grizzle by himself on that left side, and it will be a punt.
It was
Maybe
4th
that
down.
was 4th down,
It was.
Joe.
It was 4th down. I thought so.
Kind of interested to see how, Joe, with the 1st down that was negated via the holding penalty, then there was an immediate encroachment, 1st and 15.
There was a play in between.
Really?
I think there was a play in between.
Oh,
yeah.
Tyler and I both missed it.
I'm trying to recall what the play was. There was the sack, the incomplete pass.
Oh, the sack. That's how
no,
it, right?
The sack brought up 3rd down. And then the third down play was the incompletion. They had a carry in there. They had a run in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll take your word for it, Joe.
I thought so anyway. I doubt they would punt on 3rd down.
You have the better memory for sure than I do. So either way, the Dolphins will grab it back here, deep in their own end. At this point, really impossible to see where the actual yard line is. It looks to be about the 20-25 in that range. The give is underneath, and there is a hole. It's bottled up pretty quickly. That time first in the scene was luckily Lambert once again. Looks like they're going to get about 2 on the play, 2 or 3. We'll call it a 2nd and 7.
I think based on what we saw during New York's first drive, if you're the Demon Knights, you need to be sure you stop the run. They haven't shown yet that they can protect Kavko Jr. when he looks to pass, and I think that's an area you can look to exploit if you're Empire State. Force them to throw short, force them to run the ball, and force them to go to the screen game if they want to put the ball in the air.
And it is Kavko running to the right. On the option, he will flick it over, and gaining the sideline was Samuel. We'll see where this ball gets spotted as he was shoved out of bounds pretty promptly there. But Kavko with the option the entire way. It will set up a 3rd down now. And we'll see if the down markers catch up here.
Now, it's more of a play that you see at the collegiate level, but on that particular play, a speed option, you run it enough times, you have to be careful as a defense and make sure that nobody leaks off the line of scrimmage and takes off down the field, because with the quarterback rolling out, the running back is an option on the pitch. Oftentimes, there's an option to throw that ball or pitch it forward that is worked in later in the game, something to keep an eye on.
We'll call it about a 3rd and 7 on the play. as that one didn't get too much farther up the field. Once again, they'll run it right side. Stutter step Samuel. Flags are down everywhere. Samuel stood up by a host of Demon Knights. Well short of the first down. And we will see here, Joe, on 3rd down and long, if the Demon Knights will take the result of this play, because I don't think Samuel got it.
Dave, I think they got it on the last play. I think they got the first down looking at the sticks. Looking at the sticks, I thought they got it. I think they moved the chains. I think this was first down.
Okay.
And this is the disadvantage of a perspective in the end zone. But that was indeed first down. They did pick up the first on the speed option.
All right, so they'll back it up.
They backed up quite a bit on that one.
Yeah, so it'll be 1st and 20 after the holding call on what was a first down. So we apologize once again. Nothing worse than having the action taking place about 80 yards down the field plus. We are about 10 to 20 yards behind the end zone, so can add a few yards to that perspective that you see.
That 3rd floor window is looking pretty good right about now.
It sure is, and it's a shame that we weren't able to get up there.
And if the sun sets, Dave, we have no lights.
That's a good point.
They got to keep this game moving.
Motion, left to right. They work out in the flat, and that one is at the shoestrings there of the intended receiver. Incomplete. It's like Jahari Scott might have been the intended receiver. So make it a 2nd down and 20 after the incompletion. Kafko has completed a pass, but it's been a screen pass in this game. Really hasn't been able to look downfield, Joe, to your point earlier about the Demon Knights really not allowing him to get comfortable in the pocket, look downfield.
Yeah, the Dolphins haven't been able to protect him early in this game, and I think they've tried to do some good things to get him outside the pocket and get him moving. But if you're Empire State so far, this game's going just how you would like it on the defensive side of the ball. They've relegated the Dolphins to putting the ball on the ground, throwing screen passes, and when they've tried to throw it down the field, they've had pressure on Kafko Jr.
Kafko Jr. will work out of the shotgun. This time he will look down the field, looks middle of the field, and making the play and going the rest of the way, perhaps. It is Jahari Scott on the touchdown. Now, Joe, we should mention that the Dolphins do have 2 number 15s listed at wide receiver, at least at first, but that is Jahari Scott.
Well, no pressure on that play, Dave. A nice clean pocket for Kafko Jr. there. And covering the Demon Knights in the past, we've said it more than once. The plays that have really burned them have been blown coverages down the field, and that was a blown coverage, Dave. Scott got behind the entire Empire State defense. He was all alone down the field, and Kafko Jr. put it right on him for the touchdown. And if you're New York, that's exactly what you were looking for in that spot. They spread the field. The Empire State pass rush did not get home on that play, and the Dolphins are on the board for 6.
Yeah, and I was looking back at that replay and saw that the Demon Knights really didn't send any extra rushers in on Kafko, so they should have had the coverage there on that one. They just let Scott get behind the defense, and once he makes the catch, pretty much in stride, he's not going to be caught.
That was almost a perfect ball, if not perfect.
Yep. So now, a 2-point conversion, which obviously we know are very important. The Dolphins are going to ask for time here.
Well, I've been known as quite the jinx, Dave. I'm afraid I just struck again. If you're a fan of Empire State, I think I got you this time.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good point that you make, too, about
the jinx?
Well, the jinx, but also the point that you made about, the Demon Knights being susceptible to that big play. I mean, we've seen them in many games last season where they've been stout, and then, boom, they get hurt on that one big play down the field that is that backbreaker. And we've seen that so many times against some quality teams. Otherwise, defensively, they've been okay in a majority of the games, even the ones that they lost last year.
The Demon Knights had a lot of games over the course of our 2 seasons covering the EFA that were very close for much of the game and then got away late. One such example was a game against the New York Bears played at Granny Road. They were very much in that game for much of it. The Bears pulled away late in that game. Obviously, the Bears no longer in the EFA. But Empire State has the personnel and the ability to hang with the best of the EFA. Unfortunately, when it's come to the results, they've often come up short in those games. They look to get over the hump.
And they will run it right up the gut. Lead blocker paves the way, and in for the 2-point conversion successfully is Aaron Woods.
Well, they challenged the men in the middle for the Demon Knights there on that 2-point conversion attempt, and the Dolphins win the battle at the line of scrimmage, and you have to like seeing that if you're New York. Early in this game, they didn't have great run blocking between the tackles. They had some trouble protecting their quarterback, and that completely was flipped on its head. But those last two plays, first the touchdown, Kovko Jr. had a beautiful pocket, plenty of time to throw. Then on that 2-point conversion attempt, a nice hole up the middle and an easy conversion for the New York offense. So the Dolphins now have turned the tables on Empire State. The Demon Knights look to be in pretty good shape early in this game. Obviously, their first offensive drive was derailed by penalties, but they had to stop, and that's always to your advantage when the other team receives the kickoff to start a game. If you can get that first stop, you're in the driver's seat until, of course, you fall behind. Empire State now trails by 8.
So we don't have the official yardage on the score, but we're going to guess roughly 65 yards on the throw and catch. Kovko to Jahari Scott. And they get the ball back after holding the Demon Knights on the previous drive and forced to punt. They get it pretty deep. And the Dolphins, all told, go about 75 yards on that drive. But the big home run, and looks like after some penalties, Joe, this kickoff will come from the 50-yard line. And taking it out will be Caden Liddy. Liddy with some moves down the right sideline and finally gets popped out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. Liddy's been a playmaker, Joe. You know, I've got to see some highlights for the Demon Knights, courtesy of our friend Eric Malave, TYJ Visuals. A very great job of really giving us some looks at the Demon Knights and the first time these two teams played. And Liddy has been a big playmaker for this team and had to take that one out from his own end zone.
Yeah, not a great position to be in, but he made the most of it and made a nice move toward that sideline. Now, you could certainly say he paid for it at the end of that play. Took a big hit into the Dolphins bench, but he was fired up after the fact, and the Dolphins bench jawing at him back and forth with some friendly banter following the end of that play. I don't think there were any expletives. It was PG, so it looked like nothing but a good-natured back and forth on that sideline, but the Demon Knights could have found themselves in a really tough position if he does not make something out of that kick return. Could have let it bounce in the end zone, chose not to, and the Demon Knights will get started at about the 30?
Looks like the 37,
37?
Joe.
Even better if you're Empire State.
Outside the 35, that's a great return there. And anytime you get shoulder checked out of bounds on the opponent's side of the field, that's a long walk back to the field. Certainly a lot of pleasantries were exchanged there, but both teams doing a good job of getting out of there and resetting here for first down for the Demon Knights, their second drive of the game. Able to pick up a big first down in their last drive, but penalties, as we mentioned before, derailing that drive. They were also sacked, and so they went backwards just as much as they went forward. So crucial to stay flag free in a game like this. Now, do have number 32 in the backfield, Joe, that we do not have on our roster here for the Demon Knights. In the past, that's been L.A. Richards back there. Hesitant to call his number. But he lines up behind Caballero, and he will get the sweep toss over to the left side, and the Dolphins are there to sniff it out. Great open field tackle. Catching up to him was Tyquan Stokes on the play. No gain.
Yeah, and I said it before, when the Demon Knights look to run outside the tackle, is typically on that toss play, and we saw it for the first time in this game on that last snap. And when you lose yards on a first down run and you're a run-first football team, it makes it that much harder to have a productive drive. The Demon Knights now will look to work from a second and long. I believe maybe they got just back to the line of scrimmage. Either way, it will be second down and at least 10 if my vision does not betray me. And we'll see if they put it on the ground to try and make it a third and more manageable, or go right back to the game through the air here.
Whipped out the binoculars, Joe, to see the name on the back of 32's jersey, and it's Demon.
There are quite a few of those.
The other ones say Knights on them. Second and 10. Caballero, long snap count, and we are going to have movement here and a false start whistled against the Demon Knights. So second and 10 instantly becomes second and 15, And once again, the Demon Knights are in a little bit of a hole.
Pre-snap penalty is certainly something the Demon Knights can't afford. Obviously, if there's a penalty in the course of a play, those happen. You'd like to avoid those too, specifically the holding. But the pre-snap penalties are a non-starter if you're this Empire State offense. You can't have it, especially against the Dolphins team that now leads 8-0 and perhaps may have found something at the end of that last drive. They connected on the big pass. We know Empire State has been susceptible to those kinds of plays, and it gives you much less room for error after you've allowed that big pass as well, both on offense and on defense. You also have to consider here the battle of field position if they're forced to punt this ball away from deep in their own territory.
100% here as Caballero will take it himself. Immediate quarterback draw up the middle. More of a quarterback dive on that play, Joe. He just took it, ran it, dive left, and got a few yards out of that one, at least until the line of scrimmage. And that's the end of the first quarter. So we are through one quarter complete. They will switch sides, Joe. The end of one, the Dolphins lead the Empire State Demon Knights 8-0. We'll step aside. When we come back, more EFA football. Okay, we're back. That was not the end of the first quarter, even though the signal was given. 3rd and 10. Caballero picked off in the flat. A great read on the play. Once again, making that play was Stokes, and he takes it to the house. Tyquan Stokes just stepped in front of one, Joe.
Well, we spoke about plays you can't afford on the offensive side of the ball being pre-snap penalties. You certainly can't afford that. Stokes was all over the underneath route, and he jumped it for the pick six. I thought perhaps he may sprint toward our camera operator, Pat Gilorenzo, and get his moment in front of the lens here on PDF Sports Network. But there you get a great look at it. And I think it's a good thing that they didn't switch sides at that
right.
point, because we had a really good look at that pick six. That's a highlight that Stokes and the Dolphins will go back and review with some big smiles on their faces. However, if you're Empire State now facing a 2-score deficit, things just got a whole lot more difficult to come back in this game on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, and you brought it up, of course, when you have 2nd and long, 3rd and long, it takes a lot off the table if you're the Demon Knights and what you'd like to do. And if you're the Dolphins, you can pick your poison, Joe. You could send extra guys in on Caballero for the pressure, or you can let them hang back in those zones. And we all know what they did on that play. Stokes was sitting in that zone waiting for that ball to be thrown and just stepped right in front of it and did the rest. Approximately a 35-yard interception return. We'll go with that to make it 14-0 and a chance to add to it. Kafko under center. The give right up the middle. Does forward progress get him in? Yes, it does. Side judges both rule in favor. It's 16-0 Dolphins.
And the Dolphins challenged Empire State up the middle on the run once again. And once again, it is the Dolphins winning that battle as Jerry Rivera Jr. found the end zone on the 2-point try. They went left guard on the previous attempt. They run behind right guard on that last attempt. And once again, winning the battle up front. They convert for the 2 points to go in front 16-0. And if you can get two-point conversions on your first 2 scores, that's really big. Those plays are far from a given. And if you force your opponent to convert 2 of those now, it makes the road back that much more difficult. Empire State does get the ball to start the second half, but you're at the point in this game now as a run-first football team where if you don't score on this drive, you may have to start counting possessions, and that's never a spot you want to be in, especially on the road.
Yeah, 100%, Joe. And, of course, the Demon Knights are a team that like to be methodical. They like to run the football, and you take a lot of that stuff off the table. Now, there's still plenty of time left to go in this one, but to have to come back off the mat, 2 touchdowns, maybe even 2+ scores if you're not able to get a 2-point conversion, it really puts you in a bad position. And again, the window for taking chances diminishes. This time it's Grizzle from his own 10. Pipes through one of the holes. There's a flag down late. Good open field tackle that time on Grizzle made by Devon Bryant. Trip him up at about the 36, 37-yard line where the Demon Knights took over last time, but May have a hold here that'll send this one back.
And it just seems, pending the flag, that every time Christian Grizzle gets the ball in his hands, he has a chance to take it to the end zone. I'm also wondering, once again, why the ball was kicked off from the 50. There was another penalty?
Well, the penalty on this one is the hold, Joe. But, yeah, there must have been.
Before.
Yeah, there must have been a personal foul
I
at the
didn't
end
see
of that.
it.
I didn't see it either.
The last two kickoffs have been from the 50. The opening kickoff certainly was not, correct?
No, it was not.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see the flag following either of the 2-point tries. But they will back up Empire State here. And I mentioned the battle of field position before. Obviously now in a 2-score game, our focus shifts away from that a bit. But if you're Empire State now, this drive becomes that much more important backed up deeper into your own territory.
So the new spot is now the 23-yard line for the Demon Knights. And we do say it often, Joe, even though we don't say it, or it's always understated how important the special teams games are in these games. And especially these close games, they are decided by these conversions. And the Dolphins so far, 2 of 2. Lucrecio right up the middle, able to power forward for 4 or 5 hard yards that time. Good job of power running there. It'll be second down and about 5.
And that's exactly what the Demon Knights need on first down. Get the ball to your halfback, get him running downhill, pick up 3 to 5 yards, and put yourself in a position where if you do take 3 plays to get it, then you have a very short yardage to go situation that you'll find yourself in. It's second down, and it looks to be about 3 here. So that was even a bigger carry than I thought off the handoff. Good start to this drive for Empire State.
Caballero continues to work under center. New running back in the backfield gets spilled. Taken out, Everett Toone Jr., number 27, gets his first carry, and Toone Jr. was upended by Tyquan Stokes.
Quite the start to this game for Stokes.
Right.
He had the pick, had a big tackle earlier, and then again on that play got involved and cut the back down low, and I think that's the only way that you were going to take down Toone Jr. That's a big running back taking that handoff, and I think something else that helped quite a bit is he didn't really get moving yet. Stokes was in the backfield very quickly, took him out low, and Empire State is set up with another third down.
Yep. Third and short, the fake, and now the give. Opposite side to Grizzle. Grizzle will get the edge, and it looks like he will have plenty for the first down here. Nice job. A little bit of misdirection that time. The counter working the other way. Grizzle once again working from left to right off of the fake to Toone.
I really like that play design, Dave, because you know the Dolphins have to be cognizant of the handoff up the middle. That's obvious. You also have the potential for a bootleg on the side of Caballero, who's shown that he's willing to keep that and run. But on that particular play, they hand it off to Grizzle again. And I think if they had run that play to the wide side, there may have been just enough extra room where Grizzle may have had a chance to make a move and pick up much more. But with a right-handed quarterback, not always as easy to run that play in the other direction.
Grizzle, of course, one of the standout playmakers for this Demon Knights offense. Third year we're seeing him in a Demon Knights uniform. And now here comes Caballero. Misdirection the other way on the keeper. Looks to get the edge, does. A little bit of a spin move there and is able to make something out of nothing. Got about 6 or 7 on the play. Original line of scrimmage was the 40. But a good job there. And Caballero with some patient running that time, Joe.
And there it is on the keeper for Caballero. Had blocks in front of him. And I think he made the most out of that one. Initially, it looked like if the blocks were picked up cleanly, that could have been a really big play. But good job by the Dolphins on the outside to collapse the blockers back towards Caballero. He had to be patient with it, as you said, Dave, but he was able to eventually work his way to the sideline. That spin move may have bought him an extra yard or 2.
Yep, and it seems like a small victory, but when you have a run play like that, Joe, that takes a lot of time to develop, you're so thankful you don't see a flag on the play.
They got the first down, Dave.
They did, huh?
They did.
Okay.
They just got it.
So it looks like they might be right at midfield. Previous spot was the 40. Good pickup there on the near side. A drive that started at their own 23. They're third of the way home. Caballero racing right side, looks middle of the field. That pass is caught and promptly taken down after the catch, close to another first down.
And this is becoming a very good-looking drive for the Empire State Demon Knights. We've seen a little of everything. We've seen runs up the middle, challenging that defensive front for the Dolphins. We've seen the quarterback boot. We've now seen the play-action pass. We've seen the play fake up the middle into the sweep with Grizzle. They've showed us a little bit of everything and have had success with a little bit of everything on this drive. Can they keep it up for the full length of the field? This drive obviously started deep in their own territory. They need about another 40 yards to find the end zone here.
Ball is spotted at the 35. Joe able to pick that one up. Toon Jr. once again is the running back. This time he dives left, rolls over a couple of Dolphins to get ahead for about 3 yards on the play. A couple of Dolphins remain down on the play, and so we're going to have a stoppage here.
Yeah, I think that's Peguis who's down.
Yeah, it is Peguis, number 11. And, Joe, I want to go back a little ways when we went to commercial break because of the quarter. Now, the official came over to the Dolphins sideline.
The quarter ended, Dave. They didn't switch sides.
They didn't switch sides. Okay, so I just wanted
ended.
to make sure that that was the right call at least. So we are in the second quarter here.
Yeah.
So, Tyler, we'll have to move the quarters over one. We are in the second. But, yeah, kind of unorthodox and strange that they wouldn't change sides there, Joe, unless they just, because of the light, like you mentioned. There are no lights here, just in an effort to speed up the game.
Dave, I think we're going to see a very short halftime if there is a halftime because where the sun is setting, it is going to end up behind the high school building earlier than it sets completely. And once we reach that point, there is not going to be much natural light for the field.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. No lights here, no bleachers on either side of the 50 in the complex as well. And delayed handoff, I believe that was, Joe, up the middle, by Armani Beasley, his first carry. Kind of hard to pick up through the traffic there in the middle, but Beasley scampers around and I think gets himself close to another first down. Looks like about a 2nd and 2 on the play coming up. I mean, excuse me, a 3rd and 2.
Yeah, I don't know how much they picked up on first down exactly.
I think it was 2 or 3.
2 or 3?
Yeah, because his body went forward past the line of scrimmage.
I thought the same thing in live action, and then I looked over at the sticks. But as I said, my angle viewing the sticks isn't great, and it would be 3rd and short.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like 3rd and about 1 or 2 at most. Either way, 4-down territory here for the Demon Knights. Beasley remains in the backfield. Caballero under center. Fakes the pitch to Beasley. Now he's running right side. Corner near the 5-yard line. That pass was incomplete. Yeah, it looked like Liddy was the intended receiver on the play, and Caballero might have been better served leading him to the pylon a little bit more, Joe. That pass looked like it was a little bit short and would have required Liddy to go across his body. Probably slow that down a bit and see it again if you wish, but either way, that'll bring up 4th down here.
That was going to take a perfect throw. There wasn't much space there. I think the ball would have had to have been thrown in the out-of-bounds area, forcing Liddy to drag his feet, but
I think
that was the only read on the play.
I think you have to let Liddy kind of get up and get that one and extend. But here we go, up the middle. This one will be close. And we'll see if we get a signal from the referee. They are looking towards the sideline to see if they match up. It will be a 1st down.
And that's a big pickup for this Demon Knights offense, keeping the ball out of the Dolphins' hands, moving closer to their first score. And if they can get on the board here with 6 and convert, making it a 1-score game, that would be huge as we have a stoppage.
Timeout Dolphins. So the signal was made pointing to the Dolphins' direction. So they want to regroup here. Joe, this is a drive that started with an Empire State penalty on the kickoff, got them backed up to their own 23-yard line. But since then, they've been able to get down the field. Want to guess the yard line here is about the 20, maybe just inside the red zone.
Well, if you're Empire State here, I don't want to say this drive is a must-score drive, but I think you have to come away with something after you've come this far, because if you give the Dolphins the ball back, That could very well end up being the last possession of the first half. And if the Dolphins were to score to go in front by 3 possessions, it's going to be a very tough road back for Empire State. This drive grows in importance as they move closer and closer to the end zone.
Well, let's not forget, they have been able to drive the football a little bit. I think if we were to look at the total yards and, with the exception of that big play by the Dolphins, total yards are definitely even or heavily in favor of the Empire State Demon Knights in this one. Of course, taking that big 65-yard throw and catch out of the picture. Demon Knights have certainly had the ball for a longer stretch as well, but they have nothing to show for it on the scoreboard. Looks like we have an equipment timeout here going on near side.
Well, nothing near to us at this point.
Yep.
The action moving further and further away as the Demon Knights drive down the field.
So after a lengthy stoppage here, probably benefits the Dolphins, you'd have to think, Joe, with the Demon Knights, of course, gobbling up the yards on the ground and, putting the running backs in almost by rotation. Every couple of plays, we've seen Lucrecio start. Toon Jr. got a couple of carries. Beasley has been the ball carrier as of late, all on this drive.
And they've always had a lot of depth at that position. We've seen it year in and year out from this Demon Knights team, often boasting the league's leading rusher and leading rushing attack. We know they can run the ball. We know they like to get a lot of players, even the wideouts, involved in the ground game. We've seen the handoff to Grizzle on the sweep. We've seen many reverses in the past. They find ways to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers, even if they're not throwing it their way.
Now, there's a lot of standing around here, Joe. The officials are all kind of in their respective places. I'm not really sure. Actually, there is a little bit of a huddle going on right where the first down marker is. The entire Dolphins coaching staff is collected with one of our officials. So maybe they are still tending to either an equipment issue or an injury. Either way, looks like we're going to get this one restarted in just a sec. Whistle blows, play clock starts. So here we go, 1st and 10. Drive continues for the Demon Knights, looking for their first points of the game. Beasley in the backfield with Caballero. Caballero, under immediate duress, has no chance. It looked like he wanted to pitch that back to Beasley, Joe, and he did well. Actually, he did not come out with the football there. The Dolphins are saying they have it. I think they're contending that Caballero was down before the ball came out. That's indeed the call.
Well, now that the Dolphins have seen Caballero keep it and attempt that dive up the middle once, I'm not sure you're going to get away with that again if you're the Demon Knights. That time, they stayed with him. He did keep the football, did not pitch it, did not hand it off to the back. He had it, and at some point in that pileup, he lost it. Fortunately for Empire State, he was ruled down before that happened. That being said, that play certainly has to affect your future decision-making if you're this Demon Knights offense, perhaps second-guessing going back to that look again.
2nd and 10, no gain on the previous play. Caballero continues to work under center. Once again, the fake handoff has him moving to his right, has a lot of time, dips out but fumbles the football. It was stripped out, and coming down with it are the Dolphins. Another turnover, and it was Anthony Parkins coming down with it. I believe he gets credited for the strip sack there, and will get the fumble recovery as well.
Caballero had good protection on that play, so that certainly was not the fault of the offensive line. He rolled to his right and then set his feet. He was parked with his eyes downfield and just remained stationary for far too long. He started back to his left, and at that point was when he was stripped. Parkins came in, and I think you're right, Dave. He was able to get a hand on it and scoop it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
you're taking a look on the monitor.
Yeah, it wasn't him. We're trying to give credit to whoever got the strip, but it wasn't Parkins who got the strip. But what a job. It's the gentleman who's banging on his head right here.
All right.
He knows what he did, and he loves it. But again, just the Demon Knights are able to win the real estate battle. They're able to go about 50, 60 yards down the field. And then a big, costly turnover there. gives the ball right back to the Dolphins, and they're set up with very good field position here, just out inside their own end of the field. And looks like the Demon Knights are going to call a timeout here, Joe. And, you know, Joe, I know, look, you hate to say it, Ricardo Caballero is in the center of it all for ESDK, but the big interception there, and, you know, maybe the only option there is to throw that football away, and instead he's kind of pirouetting in the backfield, and it really cost them on that play.
Yeah, I think we've seen what he's capable of with his legs, and I think a lot of that does not come in the passing game, in the middle of passing plays. We've seen that he's a capable runner when the play is designed for him to take off and keep the football. When he's tried to extend plays sometimes, he's tried a bit too much, and to try and potentially do too much on a play like that often puts you in a really tough spot. If you're this Empire State offense, you were moving down the field really well on that drive to try and overextend yourself and do too much in that situation. Certainly hurts you, but they can't win this game without his production both on the ground and through the air. So they're going to have to find a way to get him and this passing game going. And now it's up to the defense to perhaps keep Empire State in this game. Going behind 3 scores this early really puts you in a tough spot. I have to think that if the quarter ended when we thought it did, we are nearing the 2-minute warning at this point. A lot of plays been run here in the second quarter.
I think you're right about that. Definitely midway to the later stages of this one. The give is underneath, and trying to dance around and get more daylight are the Dolphins, but ESDK doing a good job in between the tackles there, bottling things up. Looks like it'll be a second and very long if they got a yard, maybe.
And I think something the Demon Knights have done really well consistently throughout this game. When the Dolphins have looked to hand it off and run between the tackles, they've been there. They've had more success, has New York, with the option plays, and obviously they finally broke through with the deep pass on their scoring drive earlier.
It is Samuel in the backfield with Kafko. Kafko gets wrestled down, a good sack in the backfield.
I think a flag was thrown on the sideline. It did not get thrown onto the field.
Yep, now Kafko
is
still down, and he is grabbing his right knee. That does not look good. Kafko taking off his brace back there. Many of the Dolphins down on one knee, and Kafko's going to look to hobble off the sideline. And we'll have to see what the result of all this is. Now, obviously, there was a loss of about 5 or 6 on the play. Good job in the backfield by the Demon Knights.
Well, the Dolphins have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. The question is, who's next in line?
Now, right now, the official has the flag in his hand. I'm not sure what the call was. It looks like they're moving the ball backwards just a bit. But it is going to be second down. I think they took the penalty on that. I am not quite sure. It looks like it is a second down for sure. Saw the 2 go up. Some motion there. The give is underneath. No, now it's a keeper. Got to pick up who our new quarterback is. It is number 2, Damani Jones-Allen. So a minimal gain on the play. And at this point, most of the officials have 3 up. So it is a third down. Just kind of unsure what happened with that penalty, Joe, and whether they took the result of the play or what have you. But either way, there's another injury here on the near side, near the hash marks. Damani Jones-Allen coming back out to lead the Dolphins here on this drive.
Well, Dave, looking at the reaction of Kafko Jr. heading to the sideline, he slammed his helmet down, hobbled off, no weight on that leg. And on a play where there was a pre-snap penalty, you hate to see an injury like that. I'm not sure if the play was blown dead.
Jones-Allen being rushed, and he is going to be sacked in the grasp of number 44, Christopher Baird, of the Empire State Demon Knights. He was not picked up there at the line of scrimmage, and Baird was kind of unimpeded to the quarterback there. It's going to be a 4th and a mile and they're going to have to punt here.
Well, the good news is if they do punt, they have a chance to pin the Demon Knights back. And when you're backed up against your own end zone, anything can happen. That drive that begins backed up against your own end zone can very possibly result in points for the other side. So you have to be very aware of that if you're Empire State. And we'll see how the Dolphins look to send this one away. It looks like Zero, which is one of 2 defensive backs listed on their roster, will punt.
Sky-high punt. Fisher is back deep for the Demon Knights. It's going to be a very short punt. Demon Knights are looking to get out of the way of this one. It is downed, but figure about a 20-yard punt. We do have markers down just to help out with the spot. No flags. The Demon Knights will take over, seemingly with enough time to go down the field, about 60 yards here.
Well, the Demon Knights in dire need of points here. They do get the ball to start the second half, so it is not do or die on this drive. That being said, they put together some good possessions. You'd love to see that pay off with some points before halftime if you're Empire State. They've done a lot of good things on offense, but it's been 2 critical turnovers that have really hurt them. The first one cost them a touchdown. The second one with the strip sack, fortunately, wasn't a game breaker for them, where they ultimately would fall behind by 3 possessions. The defense came up big there, picked up the stop, and now with the Dolphins, minus their starting quarterback, anything can happen in this game. We don't really know what to expect from New York offensively moving forward. Empire State now looks to capitalize with the football in their possession.
So the Empire State Demon Knights, who have racked up the yards in this first half, have not been able to register on the scoreboard yet. We will have a pre-snap penalty. It will be a false start on the offense, and it'll be a 1st and 15 to start things off.
And, you know, we've seen it many times already in this game, the pre-snap penalties, but whatever the issues have been, clearly those have not been sorted out, as we've seen so many of these drives begin with the Demon Knights moving backwards before ever having snapped the football.
Yep. And it's common everywhere. It's not just the Demon Knights. A lot of the semi-pro teams that we cover do have a hard time crawling out of these 1st and 15s, 1st and 20s. So the Dolphins crawl out of one via the 65-yard touchdown. This is Lucrecio up the middle. Tries to power and move the pile forward unsuccessfully. Might have gotten 2 or 3 on the play, but that's it. It'll be 2nd down and long. We'll call it a 2nd and 13.
And I think the number one thing here for Empire State, obviously you're looking to score. But if you don't come away with points on this drive, try and make sure this is the final possession of the half. Don't give the Dolphins another chance with any considerable amount of time left. I have to think we're closing in on the 2-minute warning. We were close when the Dolphins took over. We're even closer now.
Well, the last 2 drives have resulted in a turnover, an interception that was returned for a touchdown, and, of course, the fumble on the previous drive. Caballero continues to work under center. It's Lucrecio behind him, and we have, I believe, a timeout that is called, or that could be the 2-minute warning, Joe.
I think it is 2-minute warning.
It is 2-minute warning. So obviously that tells us how much time is left. Still plenty of time for both of these teams to drive down the field. Makes this an important 2nd down and long. Of course, if you're Empire State, you could just continue to run the clock here. The Dolphins can stop the clock twice. They have 2 timeouts remaining, as do the Demon Knights. So after the restart, same formation here. They're in tight. They give it over to Grizzle. Grizzle, right side, taken down. Minimal gain on the play. Might have gotten back to the original line of scrimmage.
Dave, look who it was again. Tyquan Stokes, backside pursuit. Dolphins have seen that play a couple of times already. And on one of those carries for Grizzle, it was called back for the holding. So even though it was a big gain on that particular play, Demon Knights ultimately netted -10 on it. And here, they don't pick up much.
Now we look, just judging by the sticks anyway, this is 3rd and just outside of 10 yards. in between 10 and 11. Now the clock is running here.
Not much urgency here by Empire State.
No. And I guess with the Dolphins not electing to stop the clock here, they can take the full breath of this play clock down and maybe get this play off with about 1:25 left. And then we'll see if the Dolphins decide to stop it, if, of course, the Demon Knights don't convert. Caballero steps up in the pocket, finds a little bit of a hole. There is a flag down on the near side. Caballero still moving the pile, about to the 43-yard line in that range. Might have gotten 3 or 4 on the play, but we'll see what the result is of this flag. Assumptions tell you it's holding against ESDK.
Yeah, that snap was low, and I think that really derailed that play from the start. Caballero had to go down and get it, and I think that made things really difficult. And if you haven't played the quarterback position before, you don't know really how difficult it can be when the ball is snapped low or snapped really high. That forces you to take your eyes off the defense, secure the football, especially on a snap like that where the ball almost hit the turf. It's really tough for a quarterback to then recover from that and find an open receiver. Your pre-snap reads become that much more important in a spot like that where the ball is snapped low and you don't get a chance to survey the defense for as much time post-snap.
Now, Joe, interesting decision on that one, because instead of taking the result of the play and making it 4th down, the Dolphins did take the yards and made it a 3rd down and close to about 18, 19 on this play. They'll run the screen to Grizzle, left side, wants to gain the edge. It gets held up and then gets slammed, and the fumble is down, and we'll see who came up with it. It's Dolphins football. And for the 3rd straight time, Joe, the Demon Knights drive ends in a turnover. Christian Grizzle trying to make something out of nothing. And the Dolphins will take over, although, could that be the end of the first half?
That's a good question, Dave. But on that play, Devon Bryant was lined up against the blocker on the outside. He was one-on-one, and there was a lot on his shoulders to try and make sure that Grizzle did not make a move and turn that up the field. Fortunately, he made a great play for the Dolphins, and that was compounded by the fumble recovery as the Demon Knights now
looks like this might
are
be the
down
half.
to a knee on the sideline. I think that is the end of the first half, Dave.
Which is, yeah, I mean, clock was racing down. So that will be halftime here. It's been the Dolphins out in front from start to finish right now in that first half. The score 16-0. And we'll take a step aside, take a break, listen to our sponsors. Actually, Joe, we are going to keep it on the field here because we do have a special halftime presentation, that I guarantee you have never seen before. We'll get Pat back on camera to get this on camera. But, Joe, we were told coming into the game that there would be a special presentation this halftime, and we are going to have a gender reveal for the proud parents affiliated with the Dolphins. Now, number 26 on the Dolphins is Jerry Rivera. His younger brother, Xavier, and Stephanie are expecting a child, and they are going to reveal the gender of that child right here. And you could see here, I don't know how they're doing this, Joe. I saw the 2 babies kind of wrestling on the side.
They were going full WWE style, back and forth. It looked like some sort of wrestling match on the sideline.
Unless they're going, I don't know what they're doing. They might be racing to their mom and dad. We'll see. But we're going to try to capture it on camera. We told the good folks at the Dolphins that we try to get this for mom and dad on camera, so we'll let it play out. But this is a first, and I don't know if there'll ever be another one of these, Joe, on PDF Sports Network, but we see pretty much a little bit of everything, and here we go. Gender reveal for the first time.
Curious to know what the method of this reveal is going to be. There's a football placed between the 2 infants. They are now staring each other down.
Oh, they're running towards the ball, Joe. Oh! And they're hip-checking each other. Look, the little boy has picked it up. He's racing. Oh, man, there's a fumble down.
A right hook to the face.
Yeah, who's going to pick up
and
this
a
loose
jab
ball?
back the other way. That caved in the boy's head.
Yep. More fighting going on. The ball is loose.
Wouldn't it be something if the result was twins?
It would be. Well,
I think the
we're
inflatable suits
we're
have
losing some
lost
air.
a bit of their luster here.
Okay. We could be coming down to the end here. Xavier and Stephanie are going to have their hands full if their child starts doing this. And it is a girl. Congratulations, Xavier and Stephanie. We've learned coming down with the ball was a girl. So congratulations. Fittingly, Joe, the team wore pink today. And, of course, we have Pink Smoke coming up. Congratulations, Xavier and Stephanie, Uncle Jerry Rivera as well. That will now do it. And for this first half, we'll send it to break. Here at halftime, it's the Dolphins 16 and the Demon Knights nothing.
Getting a home loan shouldn't feel like an obstacle course. At CMG Home Loans, getting a loan is simple. Our loan officers are here for you every step of the way. With over 2,000 five-star reviews, when you're ready to buy or refi, we'll work together to find the loan you need for the home you love. CMG Home Loans. Simplified, trusted, committed.
Since 2003, Elite Sports Physical Therapy of Morganville has developed customized care and physical therapy programs for thousands of athletes through evaluation and setting athletic goals. Whether a torn ACL, dislocated shoulder, or concussion is keeping you on the sidelines, our highly trained physical therapists can help you recover and return to the field or court in better shape than ever before. Come see what we are all about. Visit us at elitespt.com or call us today to book a consultation.
Attention local businesses and professionals. Isn't it time to elevate your game? Now you can advertise your business or product on PDF Sports Network. Your ad will appear on all of our broadcasts, including this one. Don't have a commercial? We'll make one for you, absolutely free. What better way to showcase your product and brand while supporting the best local sports, teams, and leagues? Call now at 732-723-8189 or visit us at pdfsportsnet.com.
Welcome back here to James Madison High School in Brooklyn, New York, home for the New York Dolphins, where right now the home team is in command, 16-0. They were able to force 3 turnovers in that first half, of course, 1 coming on the final whistle. But that's been the real difference here, Joe. The bottom line is that we don't have statistics, obviously, but if we did, I think we'd see that the Demon Knights and the Dolphins are pretty much parallel in terms of yardage and, field positioning and, of course, total yards and all of that, first downs as well. But the Dolphins are up on the scoreboard because they were able to turn one of those turnovers directly into points with the pick six. And, of course, they were victimized by the interception the fumble when they were going down the field the other time.
Well, I mentioned it before, Dave. The Demon Knights have been susceptible to the big play. The big play can occur both on offense and on defense. We saw on defense, obviously, there was the one blown coverage. Outside of that play, they've played a pretty good game defensively. And then on offense, you've said it. They've moved the ball. But outside of the pick six, they've played pretty well offensively. They had, obviously, the Caballero fumble and then the fumble to end the half. But the play that wrapped up the half was kind of a Hail Mary shot at the end zone without actually throwing the ball deep. We know Christian Grizzle can make a player miss and potentially turn a screen pass into a score. But, we've said it quite a bit. They're doing, they're moving the ball well, but the big turnover, they're playing defense pretty well. But the one blown coverage that led to a touchdown, they need to put together 4 solid quarters, and they're in this game. If they can put together 2 solid quarters and a strong half, the Dolphins now, with their backup quarterback in, anything can happen. This game is not over, and Empire State gets the football to start quarter number 3.
Well, it's not over, Joe, and you know all about that. Last week you covered the New York Bandits against the Patterson Gravediggers, and the Gravediggers got off to an 18-0 lead, and then, of course, surrendered 40 points in a row. Now, some of that was in the first half, and it bled over into the second half, but, that's a case in point of how things could change on a dime.
Things can change in an instant, and we've learned that on many occasions, covering the EFA the last 3 seasons. Take a look at last year's EFA championship.
Sure.
This Demon Knights team got off to a great start in that game. They dealt the first blow. They were up 12-0.
Yeah.
And from there, the Bears bounced back on their way to a perfect season and a league championship. This Empire State team has been in the biggest games in the EFA. They have played well in those games, but they're looking to get over the hump and finally claim a championship here this year. And this Dolphins team, certainly one of the teams they will need to get through on their way there. And right now, they trail by 2 scores, in need of points here. This drive, again, not a must-score drive, but the way they like to play offense, handing the ball off, keeping the clock moving, dominating possession. If they're going to stick to that game plan, they're going to need some points in this third quarter. And if you're the Demon Knights, you're hoping those points come on this possession.
Absolutely. And speaking of the Gravediggers and Bandits who you covered last week, Joe, the Gravediggers are in action today. They're playing the 0-2 New York Legion on the road. And the 2-0 Bandits, the other undefeated team, is on the road taking on the Mountaineers. Hudson Valley 0-2 this season. Of course, they lost last week in a razor-close game to the Demon Knights, played at Granny Road, so they fell to 0-2. And here we go, opening kickoff of the second half. It's able to hit some turf. It skips down, and the Demon Knights are able to find some daylight now in the corner, and shuffled out of bounds was Fisher on the play. And once again, the Demon Knights will start off with good field position. And that time, Joe, there were no flags.
And you could see as that ball was skipping into the arms of the return man, the blocking was set up really well for Empire State on that return. And they got a good return from Fisher, as you mentioned. And if you're Empire State, finally, you get a chance to work with a bit of a shorter field. They've had to scratch and claw their way up the field so far in this game to get into scoring position. And that's where those drives have typically fizzled out. They've started deep in their own territory. They had the turnover earlier. That was in their own territory as well, but they had a couple of drives that crossed midfield. Neither of those resulted in points. They need that to change right here, starting in Dolphins territory.
Yeah, and you'd have to think that the halftime was a little bit of a gift for this Demon Knights team, a chance to recollect themselves and tell themselves, hey, we are in this game. We are one play away from making it a one-score game, and also we've won some battles here in these first 30 minutes. Caballero throwing all the way, looking to his left at first. Now has to scamper right and throws it out of bounds. Wise play by Caballero as we have injuries down near the line of scrimmage.
I think that's one of the Dolphins' defensive linemen down on his back right now. And Caballero very nearly held this football too long again, but got out of there just in time, scrambled, did not force a throw into coverage, and wisely threw it away, as you said, Dave. But the injury bug continues to bite the Dolphins here. They already lost their starting quarterback in this one. I don't think we'll see him again. Cavco Jr. did not appear as if he could put any weight on that injured leg. So if they're without him, they might be down another defensive lineman as well. And now the Dolphins, some of them take a knee on the field, others take a seat, and the trainers have made their way out to the field attending to the injured player.
Yep, so much, of course, we talk about the talent positions, but so much of semi-pro football and the success of teams is predicated right there in the trenches, the offensive and defensive lines. It's not ironic, Joe, that in every league that we cover or every league that we kind of follow, that the teams that have the best line, the best offensive and defensive lines, 99 times out of 100, they're the teams that win most of the games, because when you're able to win that line of scrimmage battle, of course, you control the tempo and the flow of the game, and now the Dolphins are down one of their interior guys.
The team that wins the battle up front typically wins the game. You said it, Dave, and if you look back to the Monday Night Football game between the Jets and the 49ers, you saw that on full display. The 49ers offensive line was dominant in that game. They ran the ball at will, they won the battle at the line of scrimmage and gave their quarterback plenty of time to complete throws when they needed them. And if you dominate the line of scrimmage, odds are you're going to have a very good night. And so far, we've seen that in semi-pro and in the EFA specifically, as we've covered the league now for the last 3 seasons. You could make the case that last year's league champion had the most dominant line in the league, both on offense and on defense, in the New York Bears.
Agreed. Now, good news is that Charles Taylor was able to go off under his own power, however, a little bit gingerly. And at the end of all this, 2nd down and 10 after the first down incompletion by Caballero, which I thought you explained well, Joe, did wise to kind of throw that one away. Had a couple of his teammates calling for the ball in the middle of the field, but they were being covered well. Out of the shotgun. Low snap, but the give is underneath, pushing the pile forward maybe for 1 or 2 yards. Was Lucrecio again.
On that play, Dave, the Demon Knights came out in a spread shotgun look, and the Dolphins respected that look. They had the appropriate number of defensive backs out there lined up with the Demon Knights receivers, but they won the battle at the line of scrimmage on the draw play. They were able to read it pretty well, and not much running room on that snap, and that sets up the Demon Knights now with 3rd down and long, a situation that has not been kind to them throughout this game.
Yeah, 3rd and 9 officially there as Lucrecio was able to get about a half a yard on that last play. 4 down territory here for Empire State Demon Knights. No doubt. They continue to work. Spread shotgun, another low snap. Caballero converged on almost immediately. Has to do well to try and get back to the line of scrimmage. Looks like he'll be a yard or 2 short of that. They'll back the sticks up. It will be a 4th down and about 12 yards coming up.
And I've spoken about it already on plays. Caballero has tried to do too much, but in his defense, on plays like that, receives a low snap, didn't get much blocking. It's really tough to make a read in the pocket under those circumstances. So perhaps he deserves credit for being able to escape those situations when the snap is poor, but on that particular play, there's nothing he could do.
No.
And when he had time to throw down the field earlier in the game on more than one occasion, he was able to hook up with Christian Grizzle. And they'll need that again here on 4th down.
So 4th down and 12. Caballero continues to work out of the shotgun, but he will punt, which will land in the middle of the end zone for a touchback. That's, of course, the beauty of having Caballero back there kicking, is you don't know if he's fixing to throw the ball or punt it away, but they do play the field position game. They get about a net, Joe, of 20 yards on that punt. So you could be critical there if you choose to. I'm sure some people at home are saying, why take the yards?
I'm inclined to choose to, Dave. I'm inclined to say I'd probably go for that. But I think what you're protecting against in that situation is that catastrophic play, like a turnover or a sack that gives the Dolphins the ball in plus territory. I think if you're confident that you can pin them back, I completely understand punting that. But with the touchback being the result, I'm inclined to question it for that reason. If the goal was a touchback and there didn't seem to be much of an effort to spot the kick, it was more of just getting it away and making sure that the punter is protected. For 20 yards, needing two-point conversions factors in as well, Dave.
Yep.
You don't have to score twice. You have to also convert the two-point try twice. Right. I think that's the biggest reason I would be critical in that spot.
Right, because if you score the touchdown and fail the two-point conversion, you're still down by 2 scores. And
exactly.
Without a place kicker, you need all the drives you can get. But perhaps the reason for the confidence is because they have Chase Kafko out of the game due to injury. And going up high with that one was Damani Jones-Allen. He was looking for the wideout who got the touchdown earlier in the game, Jahari Scott.
We've said his name quite a bit in the 2 games that we've covered the Dolphins, and he got good separation there. He was wide open. The ball just sailed over his head. Fortunately, it was high and not behind him because he had a defender in the area.
Yeah, but we talk about why punt it in that situation. This could be one of the reasons why. You got the backup quarterback in the game, and really you've only surrendered the one offensive score. The other score, of course, came on defense, and it was only on that one play where the defensive backfield broke down. Back to pass, in the flat, catch is made, prompt tackle made as well. That was either Mike Lowry or Darren Butler Jr. There are 2 number 4s on this Dolphins team, both listed at wide receiver. We'll try to get a name on the back of that jersey for you in a moment.
Well, as you look for that, Dave, what I will say about the decision to punt it there, we saw earlier when the Dolphins were forced to punt, they did not have the ability to punt it like Caballero can. They cannot send it deep. So if the Demon Knights can force a 3 and out, you may actually net a gain of a few yards by punting it in that situation. That's one way I could see them coming out with a positive result from the decision to punt. If the Dolphins pick up a first down, I think you lose that benefit. A punt, even if it gains them nothing, puts you right back where you were in the first place. You need a 3 and out.
Darren Butler Jr., the wideout on the last play, who made the catch. 3rd down and about 5. And we have movement. Pre-snap movement that will go against the Dolphins. Obviously, they'll accept that, make it a 3rd down and 11 coming up. And Joe, that's a great point that you just made, and it was something that, I didn't reach for or think about too. Is you're absolutely right. The Dolphins, their one kick that they did have kind of went straight up in the air. It didn't really net them much at all, and so
maybe 10 yards, maybe.
In a game that is this close and still within 2 scores, that's something that has to play a factor as well. Every yard counts.
I will tell you, that is a great show of confidence in the defense to punt it there, because if they don't get a stop here, the game very well could be over.
Right.
Especially if the Dolphins convert on another 2-point try. I think that would just be a catastrophe to see them score and convert.
So big down here, 3rd down and 11. This is a team that scored one of their touchdowns on a 2nd and 20. And taken down hard was Jones-Allen in the backfield. He was going to tuck it down and run with it, Joe, once he saw the rush coming in. But there was no real estate for him. About a 3-yard sack on the play. And now the decision to punt earlier looks genius, Joe, as now you back them up. And the punter will have to punt this one right about at his own goal line.
I think if you're the Dolphins, the one thing you didn't want was a negative yardage drive, because now you have to try and punt from your own end zone. If they had just kneeled the ball 3 times and punted, at least you're not backed up against your own goal line. And I think you put it pretty well, Dave. The decision to punt's looking pretty darn good right now, and that's why I'm not a head coach.
Right. That's why we do what we do, and they do what they do.
It's my job to question the head coach.
So Devon Bryant will be back deep to punt. He's standing at about his own 1-yard line. Over on the other side, Steven Nelson.
That's a much better kick, Dave.
But it is sky high, and with a chance to be returned. Nelson shakes off a couple of pink jerseys and is held up just inside the 30-yard line. So, Joe, you scripted it. They gained about 10 or 12 yards of real estate.
They gained 10
on the last 4 plays, right? So,
yep. Is it worth it now?
Yeah, and that's exactly right.
If you got the 3 and out anyway, is it worth it to
Yep.
give up the football? I think that is a fair question. I'd say it probably is, because on a 4th down play, you could have a catastrophe that effectively ends the game. So they avoided that. It was a nice boost of confidence for the defense, which played well in the first half, minus the 1 snap, as I mentioned. They continued to do their job, and now the offense has to put points on the board. I think starting at the 30, there's no shot we're going to see a punt here unless they have another catastrophe and end up moving backwards. So I think it's fair to say that it's 4-down territory the rest of the way. You need a score if you're Empire State. The Dolphins, with a stop here, might be able to begin thinking about running the clock out come the 4th quarter.
Certainly the middle stages of the 3rd quarter here. Caballero once again will start under center. Lose him into traffic, but it looks like he went straight down with that, Joe. I don't know if there was a mix-up on the exchange, but they actually went backwards, it looks like, on that play, or back to the line of scrimmage, if anything.
Yeah, sometimes when you're at eye level with the field of play and obviously the big pileup that is the line of scrimmage, offense and defense, it's pretty easy to lose the quarterback in that and to lose the running back. And on that particular play, it looked like there may have been a botch on the snap because I didn't see the back ever receive the football.
No, neither did I. Got kind of lost back there behind the offensive line. 2nd down and 12 on this play. Long count. Once again, some misdirection, but they do go to the left side. And trying to get to the edge was Everett Toone Jr., who had a couple of carries in that first half. Change of pace running back there. Does move ahead for about 2 or 3. So it's going to be about a 3rd and 9 coming up here.
Well, you have 4 downs to get this. They do not have to put it in the air here. I'd be inclined to think they probably come out in a shotgun look to at least get the defense thinking pass. We'll see if they do that. It doesn't appear so.
That buck counter play, Joe, too, with Christian Grizzle moving from one side to the opposite side on the handoff, also on the table.
He'd be moving to the wide side here if he goes in motion.
Instead, they give it up the middle all the way and powering forward for a good, sizable gain there. Was Toone Jr. again, so he's going to be about a yard or 2 short of the 1st down. It is going to be 4th down. And a big play here. Looks like the ball is spotted at the 22-yard line, and the 1st down marker right at the 20.
And talk about winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. The Demon Knights with a big show of confidence in their men up front to win that battle at the line. And running it on 3rd and about 9, they picked up a nice gain of about 7. And they have to have this one on 4th down.
Here we go, 4th down and 2. Huge moment in the game here, 3rd quarter. Long snap count, some movement. Now they give it up the middle, and that play was blown up in the backfield, Joe. I don't know. Caballero kind of ran right into Toone Jr. Now, the Demon Knights are saying the Dolphins went offside. There was certainly movement, Joe. I don't know if they crossed the line of scrimmage or just stunted.
There is no way that there wasn't a player offsides when that ball was snapped.
Yeah, we'll see the replay here. Tyler,
I'd be shocked.
Now, again, the angle doesn't afford us the line of scrimmage. But
did he get back?
He could have, and if there was no contact made, it's not encroachment. The Dolphins are sending their offense onto the field.
Wow, they didn't snap the ball, Dave.
Yep.
They had the Dolphins offsides and didn't snap the ball.
Yep, you could see it on repeat there. You be the judge at home, but great look by Tyler Clark there, our engineer, of course, Pat G on the camera. But the Dolphins hold, as they've done time and again here.
Tyler, why don't we – I want to see it one more time. Let's slow it down. And try and pause it when they snap the football, if you can.
And there's still a conference going on, too, Joe, so we'll mention that as we look at this again.
I don't think this is getting overturned. Let's see if you can find where they snap the ball. Watch the center. Yeah, you have to be a bit ahead of it. You could actually scrub it back. That would probably be easier. Keep it paused, scrub it back, and see if you can find the exact moment where they snapped it. Yeah, I think they got back, Dave. I think that's a good play by the Dolphins defense to get back. The hard count worked, but they didn't snap the ball. They had New York offsides.
And as far as the play itself, Joe, I think because of that stunt and because of that movement, it just kind of ruined everybody's cadence on the play, because when the ball was snapped, Toon Jr. and Caballero just kind of walked right into one another about 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That play was dead to rights as soon as it was snapped. Now the give underneath to Samuel. Samuel is looking to gain the edge. Now pop it back inside. The ball is on the ground, and it's loose. There, looks like the Empire State Demon Knights might have got on it, and if they did, it was David Byrne on it, number 15.
Ooh, Dave, that was awfully close. Two players have hands on it. The officials have signaled Empire State football, and the Dolphins will certainly protest this.
Well, we'll see this one time and again, too, Joe. Samuel doesn't give up on the play, and that ball pops out. It looks like Byrne might have had possession first, Joe, and that's when the whistles came in, declaring him the winner of that. But I think you're right. It's a 50-50 ball on the ground.
Uriel Lazaro was adamant that he had recovered, and Dave, I think what happened, I think Byrne got his hands on the ball, reaching back. I don't know if he ever possessed it, really.
Well, I don't either, and if you look at where the referees are, Joe, like when he does fall down on top of it, they're not really in a position to know that he's got it. Tyler, if you want to back it up one more time and just take a look at it, take a look at where the referees are here, Joe, and are they in the position where they could definitively say he's got the ball?
I think he's in pretty good position, Dave.
Yep. I guess you're right.
I'm in pretty good position, too, I think. But I thought in live action that there was a very good chance that the Dolphins had gotten that one back. Byrne had his hands on it first, that's for sure. Byrne definitely had his hands there first.
First turnover of the game for the Dolphins. Let's see if Empire State can make it hurt. There's going to be the give to the right side, and stumbling at first, and now completely down here. That will be a loss of about 1 on the play. That play looked sloppy from the start as well. I believe that was Beasley, who's once again back in the game, number 22.
Dave, with that turnover, the Demon Knights are given new life. And I think now we're in a situation where they have to score.
Yeah.
They've been given 3 shots in plus territory. This their second consecutive opportunity from inside the 30. They need to turn this into points.
Yep. Last 2 drives, of course, started in this end of the field. Caballero will throw. Heavy pressure on him. He gets out and is able to slip it over to Beasley, who does not make the catch. Now,
I thought it was backwards pass, Dave. I think the Dolphins sideline urging their players to get on that one were wise to do so. I don't think we'll have a great look at it on replay, but in real time, I thought that was a backwards pass.
Yeah, and of course, Caballero got lost back there, and we kind of lost him along with it through the trees of the offensive and defensive line. But let's see if we can pick up where he lets this one go. It's close for sure. Yeah. Now, Beasley did get back and pick it up, but by then the
Grizzle thought it was a backward pass. You saw him sprinting down there? Yep. He thought for sure it was a backwards pass.
Yeah, Beasley did well to get back to it after about, a second of a pause. But by then, the whistles had already blown the play dead. And what we're looking at now, Joe, is a 3rd down and about 13, because it looks like the down marker went back too. So I don't know what they're doing as far as.
Well, maybe they did rule it a fumble.
Maybe they did, but I don't see how they could have with the whistles blowing as fiercely as they did. I mean, they didn't really let the play finish, Joe. If you notice, Beasley just picked it up and things were continuing, but they blew everything dead.
I don't see how the markers could be back there if they didn't rule it a fumble. And I'll tell you, Beasley got back on it at the urging of the Dolphins sideline. He was right there. He heard the coaches and players telling the New York defense to get on that ball, and then he hot-footed it over there and tried to get there himself.
So empty backfield now for Caballero on 3rd down and 13. They go trips to the left side. Long play count. Once again, Caballero does have time. Looking sideline. The catch cannot be made by Christian Grizzle. He had to keep his feet, Joe. He would have been short of the first down regardless. He just couldn't come down with it.
Well, Grizzle was there, and that was a good ball. That's the ball they needed earlier on that rollout. That ball was perfectly placed. It was thrown where only Grizzle could get it. Had to drag his feet. I think they only would have gained about 4 or 5 yards on the play if he catches it, but that certainly would help ahead of a 4th down snap where now you're faced with a 4th and 13, and I'm almost inclined, Dave, to say give one of your big guys a shot in the end zone here. What do you have to lose?
Well, yeah, jump ball or fade into the corner or just give your receiver a chance to make a play under something. Of course, Caballero will need the time first and foremost.
Yeah.
Get his guys at least down 15 yards down the field.
We've seen Tyler Sawicki make big plays before. Haven't called his name.
Yeah, he's been absent today. There's a throw, but it's over the head of the intended receiver, Grizzle, who was doing a shallow cross in the area. The deep man was Fisher, or Richards, perhaps, number 32. We're not sure who that is, but it was kind of in no man's land, that one.
Is there any chance they get the first down if that's caught?
I don't know, Joe.
I don't think so.
No,
and I think that's a product of the pressure that's been on Caballero all game. We spoke about it early in this game. The Demon Knights were putting pressure on Cavco Jr. at quarterback, and that deep ball that was completed for the big touchdown helped to relieve that a bit before he left the game injured. Since that time, Caballero has hardly been able to get a throw off for the Demon Knights. The Dolphins' defensive line has stepped up in a big way since the early going in this game, and that's a big part of the reason why so many of these Demon Knights drives fizzled out earlier in the game, and now here in the second half, they haven't picked up a single first down despite starting at the 30 twice and the 40.
Yep. And I don't believe the Dolphins sent extra pressure on that last play as well.
When you can do it with 3 or 4, it makes the game that much easier.
Changes it for sure. This is Samuel now racing towards the right side, close to the sideline, does go out of bounds. Looks like he had enough for the first down, or maybe close to it. Actually, the down marker was hit down on the play, so looks to be a little bit short. Samuel, of course, the victim of the fumble on the last drive. We'll get another look at it here. Get a sense of that speed there. Looked like he was going right tackle all the way.
If the Dolphins can keep the ball on the ground and pick up first downs in that manner, the Demon Knights are going to have a tough time getting the football back twice to get even in this game. They have to find a way to get off the field as we wind down toward the end of this third quarter.
Second down and a short 1 yard. And could that be the end of the quarter, Joe?
It is.
It is. Now, in between quarters 1 and 2, they did not switch sides. We will see if they will switch them now. I don't believe they will in the interest of time.
Dusk is approaching quickly, Dave.
Yeah, and people have mentioned that in the chat, Joe. There are no lights here at James Madison High
lights.
School. So we can confirm that. There will be no lights. And so 15 minutes on the clock. The Demon Knights down by 16. And looks like they are going to move the markers now, Joe. So maybe that was a first down after all.
Well, I think the first down run that opened the drive certainly was a first down.
Yeah.
Yep.
We thought about it at first, then they moved the markers. Well, they didn't move the markers, so we thought it was short, but now 4 new downs. Maybe not. Now, I can hear the Demon Knights coming through my headset saying, why are we moving the sticks ahead when they were short?
I thought they got it. I didn't think there was much doubt about that, but again, my angle, not great.
Yeah, we're going to see another look at it. But you could see the down marker kind of falls down right there. Look, because like the ball carrier, Samuel, actually hit into it. A lot of claps going up in the Dolphins side. And now explanations will come up on both sides. The down markers are remaining where they are, so it will be a first down and 10.
Well, they don't have daylight to spare, Dave.
No, they do not. Now, if we know the Dolphins here in this quarter, they will likely keep the clock moving, but we still have whistles here, and before they will allow them to run a play, they will get this right. So in case you joined us late, this game started about 50 minutes late than when it should have. There was late arriving officials here at the game, and so this game probably should have long been over by now. But it got started very late. Now we are battling darkness and, of course, dusk settling in. And as Joe mentioned earlier, the sun sets directly behind the building here at James Madison High School. So as soon as that sun starts to dip down, we are immediately in the shade, and we lose that light. 1st and 10. The give underneath to Samuel. Samuel able to bounce it out to the outside, but plenty of red jerseys there to clean him out. And, Joe, I could be wrong, but they did back that up to a 2nd down and short. And so now it's a 1st down.
You know, it's hard to imagine how you go back to the previous quarter and overrule a 1st down.
It's tough. And, we are playing with 4 referees. So.
Yeah, I don't think we have much daylight left here, Dave.
I think we should be able to get in another 20 minutes or so of real time, 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Clock is moving. Allen to give once again underneath to Samuel. Samuel looking for that edge, and he is popped out of bounds. So the clock will continue to move. So,
Dave, we have sunset at 7:05, which is in 11 minutes.
All right, so that's a minimal gain. So a gain of about a yard on the play, and the clock is moving. They did, even though he was shoved out of bounds, they continue to move the clock. We should mention that ESDK has all 3 of their timeouts remaining. You can see the play unfold there. Probably going to see a lot of Samuel here in this quarter.
And Dave, I was shocked that when they got the ball back before, that their first play was a pass. I thought we'd see a lot of the run game, try and get to the finish in this one. You have the cushion of a 2-score lead, but they were aggressive in the play calling. It didn't work on that particular drive.
And the fake underneath. Allen will toss it, and it's short. Intended receiver on the play was Timothy Bowers, and it will be a 3rd down and 9.
Well, I love the play call, Dave. They just didn't execute it.
Yep.
The Demon Knights were sold on the fact that was a run, and Jones Allen certainly had time on that particular throw. Bowers wide open, and he just spiked it into the turf. That's a gift for the Demon Knights now, who have a lot more breathing room as a result here on 3rd down. And there's a good chance if that ball's caught, it goes for a 1st down because there were no orange, fire red jerseys in the area.
And if you're the Dolphins here, do you elect to keep the clock moving and run this ball? Or do you put the ball back in the air looking to sustain the drive?
I think you try and pick it up here. I think
do
you
too.
need to keep the football.
I'm with you, Joe, on that one. Up by 2 scores. You can roll that dice a little bit. But they will give to Samuel. No, it's a fake, and the ball in the flat, incomplete. Looked like they were going right back to Bowers. Bowers tried to one-hand it, Joe. I don't know if he had to. And if he catches that, he's running towards the 1st down easy.
Yeah, I don't know if he had to go for it with one hand. I think what forced him to throw his mid out at it was that ball was zipped in there.
Yeah,
he was wide open. He was wide open.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessary to put it on him like that. But it was a good-looking spiral, and that ball had some zip on it. Unfortunately, I don't think Bowers was expecting the fastball. I think he was looking for more of a changeup there. And now, on 4th down, they may go for this, Dave.
It looks like they are. I don't see Bryant in the game, who is their usual punter. In fact, and still is, Damani Jones-Allen in the backfield, the quarterback. Samuel is to his right. This is a huge play here for ESDK.
They have to have this stop to stay in this.
See if they send some extra rushers. They do not. They pull back. Jones-Allen on the run is running out of room, and he is going to be sacked. And the Demon Knights have done their job, and they were able to move the Dolphins back. So how about this for a break? Still plenty of time remaining in the 4th quarter. Down by 2 scores. They're going to get the ball in excellent field position, Joe, for the 3rd drive in a row.
And Dave, that's the key there, what you mentioned at the end. They moved the Dolphins back, and you can't have that happen if you're the Dolphins. If you're going to throw the ball there, especially with the Demon Knights not electing to blitz, you have to give your quarterback enough protection to at least throw it away. And I think Jones Allen had decided early on he was going to run. He tucked that ball pretty quickly.
Yeah.
As now, hold on, is the offense coming back out, or is Jones Allen also? Oh, there's two number twos.
Yeah.
So I thought the offense was coming back out for a moment.
I knew what you were about to say.
Yeah.
I had to look back down. Javon Brown
Right.
is the defensive number 2 for this Dolphins team. But
That's how many players they have. These double numbers can really get you, but you can't have a negative play there if you're the Dolphins. They've done a lot well in this game. The offense has sputtered a bit since they lost their starting quarterback in Cavco Jr. You can't go backwards there on fourth down.
And do the Demon Knights have a play where they can get into the end zone in this one? They scored 21 the first time these two teams met, have been held off the scoreboard in this one. Caballero, immediate toss to the right side. That is Sawicki. Sawicki gains the edge and goes out of bounds, close to a first down.
I mentioned it on the last drive, Dave. We haven't called Tyler Sawicki's name tonight, and we've seen him make some big plays for this Demon Knights team before. We've seen him in the red zone, serving as a go-to target, and we've seen some really nice catches on jump balls and throws down the field from Sawicki. I'm really surprised they haven't found a way to get the ball into his hands a bit more. And there in the open field, we saw him get the edge and pick up nice yardage along the sideline, just short of a first down.
And whatever positive they've done in the air, it's really been at the line of scrimmage here since that first quarter and that big throw to Grizzle. 2nd down and 1 on this one. Ball's to the 25-yard line. The give is underneath to Lucrecio. He's going to battle for that yard, but he got back to the line of scrimmage only. So it'll be 3rd down and 1.
And Dave, they've had nothing between the tackles in this game for the most part, especially out of the shotgun. In the single back formation, on that halfback plunge and those dive plays, they have been able to gain some ground up the middle. But for the most part, the Dolphins have been there, nothing broken away or even into the second level for Empire State so far in this game on the ground when they've run between the tackles. So that puts you in a really tough spot. And you had what was a 3rd and maybe 1 or 2 become a 3rd, maybe 4 now following that loss.
Yeah, looked like a short loss on that play. Caballero once again will give it underneath. That one looked like it was Beasley to take it. Maybe gained about a yard, but this is going to be 4th and short.
Dolphins just not giving up anything on the ground here. The Demon Knights are going to have to find another way to move the ball, especially now with the clock becoming a much bigger factor late in this game. And this would be the 4th straight drive that begins at the 40-yard line or further into Dolphins territory that ends without points if they get stopped here on 4th down.
Yep, they need to get to about the 23.5-yard line. The spot is the 25, so it's a long 2 yards or a long 1.5. Armani Big Daddy Beasley is in the backfield for the Demon Knights, but it will be Caballero to throw. Will he have the time to? He will not. In the grasp, in the backfield, Dolphins take over on downs.
Dolphins' defensive line has really dominated here in the second half. They haven't been able to protect Caballero, and you have to suspect that's why they haven't put the ball in the air a bit more. You can only throw so many screen passes. We've seen a few of those. They had the one big play down the field on the play action. At this point in the game, with the way the Dolphins' defensive front has played, the play action's off the table. You fake that handoff, Caballero is probably looking at a rusher or two in his face as soon as he gets his eyes downfield. There's really not much you can do if you're Empire State in this spot. The Dolphins' defensive line's just been too good in the second half, and without the protection for Caballero, those plays downfield simply aren't going to be there.
Yep, and Joe, if you're the Demon Knights, you could not have scripted this second half really any better. They got the second half kickoff to start. They started in really good field position with that one, and their next 3 drives have started at the 40, at the 40, and then at the 35. And really, they've been able to do next to nothing with that. I think they've picked up just 1 first down in their previous 3 drives, and their inability to control the line of scrimmage was the difference. We start here, and at the line of scrimmage, that ball is out. And the Demon Knights look like they had it at least at first. Coughing it up on the play was Timothy Bowers after having it stripped. The Dolphins are going back to their sidelines. Flags come out. Looks like the Demon Knights might have come down with this one, Joe.
I think they had it, Dave, but if they picked up the personal foul here, that hurts. And if you're the Dolphins, all you need to do effectively is hand the ball off and let the clock run. And we've seen now multiple times the Dolphins possessing the ball and giving it away to Empire State. The Demon Knights have had 4 drives in plus territory here in the second half. 2 of those have come off of Dolphins turnovers. If they do get the ball here, as we suspect, it will now be 3 drives in plus territory off of Dolphins turnovers. And assuming Empire State does keep the football, they're still in this game, Dave, and that's given the fact that they haven't scored on 4 possessions. Hard to believe. It is hard to believe. And were it not for that pick 6, we'd still be in a 1-possession game.
Yeah.
The Dolphins had the one big play. Outside of that, following the injury to Cavco Jr., they haven't put together much on offense, maybe 2 first downs.
Yeah, and you've said it before, Joe. You know, it's our job here in the booth to, you know, point out the hindsight and, of course, you know, second guess everything. But you get the ball back there. I don't really understand why you're throwing the ball. I just don't. You're up against darkness. You have the chance to, at the very least, hand the ball off, force ESDK to call all 3 of their timeouts on this drive, kick it back to them the other way, and say, I dare you to score on my defense. You know, instead, they throw the ball there. Granted, it's caught. It's going to get you maybe 2 or 3 yards at the most there, but instead you get the fumble as a result, and you've once again breathed a little bit more life into this ESDK team that's really been lying on the mat here, not doing much. Got to figure the law of averages, Joe. They're going to convert something at some point. But listen, it's our job to be critical up here, and you know we certainly like those guys. But I don't understand that call. I really don't.
Yeah, I think part of your job as the commentator is to be the Monday morning quarterback. You go back, look at a play, and analyze what could have been, what should have been, and that's part of it. It's part of the job, and they've done plenty well. They've been dominant on defense here in the second half. Plenty of credit.
No doubt.
Goes to the Dolphins' performance defensively, but you lose your starting quarterback, and that really changes things on offense. The defense obviously is going to react differently to the personnel in the game, and many times the play calling has to change. To be fair, the throw was there. It was wide open. You can't fumble the football in that spot. It's not as if you caught the ball and immediately got leveled. There was running room and time to secure that football. So the play was executed. It just wasn't possessed cleanly.
Caballero, middle of the field. Sawicki makes the catch. Tries to get up, is popped right there by Rafael Santiago in the open field. But that could move the sticks here. Dolphins, I believe that's their second first down of the half.
And not to be lost there, Dave, the Demon Knights were assessed a personal foul following the turnover. So they got backed up 15 yards.
Right.
And
this is probably where they would have been.
You can't do that either.
Right. Caballero. A rare completion on that last play. Beasley gets stood up. Nothing much there. Maybe a gain of 1 on the play. Trying to keep those defensive linemen and maybe those safeties home a little bit on these runs. But I get the sneaky suspicion it's going to have to take a ball in the air, Joe, to get the ball in the end zone.
And I think part of the challenge here, if you're the Demon Knights, what you like to do in large part is built upon the ground game and trying to run it between the tackles. You're not going to hit the home run in most cases running the ball up the middle. It can happen. You get great blocking, big hole. Perhaps you do break it to the second level and break one for a touchdown, but we haven't seen it yet tonight, and time's running out.
I could be wrong. Of course, I have been in the past, but I think their longest run of the day was for 6 yards earlier in the first half.
It was Caballero for 10.
Caballero for 10. There we go. Now they look for corner. That pass is intercepted. It was underthrown just a bit, but it was Jahari Scott who had the big 65-yard catch offensively in the first half and may have just stuck the dagger in with that interception on the defensive side of the ball.
Caden Liddy was open, Dave. That ball needed to be thrown to the pylon. It wasn't an easy throw, but it's definitely one that could have been made. He needed a bit more air on it. But again, Caballero all night has been facing a collapsing pocket, a great deal of pressure, has been forced to throw under duress many times, has not been able to get a throw off. And perhaps the pressure getting to him on that one, he was forced to heave it downfield. That being said, this drive is going to start at the 1 yard line, Dave.
Yep.
And if there was ever a time to make a play on defense that results in points, now is that time.
That ball officially at the 3 here. So if there's another big defensive play that the Demon Knights have in them, now is the time. They have forced a couple of turnovers in this half. They've been gifted great field position. They've been unable to do much with it. As a result, same score here late in the 4th as it was at halftime. 16-0. Jones Allen will work out of the shotgun. Will give underneath. Samuel gets the seam and is able to pull forward to about the 6 or 7 yard line. Gain of 3 or 4 on the play. That's exactly what the Dolphins needed.
More breathing room. That was priority number 1 there. Don't go backwards. Pick up something on first down. You don't want to be taking any snaps with your quarterback or halfback in the end zone. So they do pick up 3 or 4 yards there to get moving forward again.
We should mention that ESDK does have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. They have elected not to use one there. And if you're the Dolphins, you can let the full play clock run here, 40 seconds. High snap and doing well to just take it down and eat it was Jones Allen. You know he wanted to give that over to Samuel, Joe, but that snap was way too high.
You know he's breathing a sigh of relief is what he's doing. Oh, my goodness. Now, if they had snapped that through the end zone for the safety, I think that's almost preferable.
Right, sure.
Obviously, it gives the Demon Knights 2 points, but at least you get the safety kick.
Right.
Is punting even an option here? I don't think punting's an option here, Dave. You're backed up now at the 1. If you don't gain anything here,
I think you have to.
You have to try.
Yeah.
Dave,
even if you kick it out of bounds.
I think I snap it through the end zone. I think I'm snapping it through the end zone.
It's 16-2. It's still a 2-score game.
I mean, I guess you could try and punt it, but then if it gets blocked and you give up a touchdown, that's a killer.
Right.
You would get the ball back, but this is a tough spot here. What do you do if you don't gain anything?
Nobody there to receive the handoff. And did he get out of the end zone? He did. So the ball will be spotted at about the 1 foot line. And, Joe, that was a broken play. Jones Allen was looking to give it to Samuel underneath, and Samuel wasn't there.
I wasn't sure if that play was designed to begin with a play fake. We'll see if we can pick it up here.
Maybe not.
You know what, Dave? I think there's a chance that was an option.
It could have been.
And the Demon Knights were all over it.
Yep.
And once the quarterback realized that, there was really no other choice for Jones Allen but to try and keep it himself. And, man, you are as close to the end zone as possible. Last night in our high school game.
2-minute warning, Joe. Finish your thought. Go ahead.
You have 3 timeouts here if you're Empire State. This game's not over. Dave.
Yep.
I'm snapping this through the end zone. I'm taking a knee in the end zone. There's no way I'm kicking this. Because if you're the Dolphins here and this somehow turns into a touchdown, that's a catastrophe. Make Empire State score on offense.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it looks like they're going to try and get something out. They are going to punt here. And, Joe, I have to say, I do agree with this. I think even if you just get it kick and look towards the sidelines as well,
they got it away.
Something. And it's his Fisher. Fisher looking to get the edge. He gets it to the 10, inside the 5, touchdown!
Should have kneeled it, Dave. They should have kneeled it.
They should have kneeled it indeed.
The
Joe,
Monday morning quarterback is here.
You were right. We presented both angles. I said kick it. I was in the wrong. Joe had the right idea.
Got to kneel that.
And now it's 16-6, and things just got a little bit more interesting inside of 2 minutes to go.
Well, it comes down to first, the Demon Knights get the 2-point conversion.
Of course,
they have to have it. And second, can the Dolphins pick up a first down? A first down will end the game.
Right.
But I got to be honest with you, Dave. I wasn't even factoring in the potential for a return. My thought process is make them score on offense. And I guess if you look at it, yes, can you score on the return? Sure, they did. But I'm thinking of that as what could go wrong in the end zone, allowing them to recover the ball. That being said, Dave, they max protected on that punt. They had everyone on the line of scrimmage. That's why it was returned for a touchdown.
And the only thing that I'll say, Joe, in hindsight, to my own point, was that I would have kicked it more towards the sideline. I would have kicked it out of bounds. 20 yards, 15 yards up the field, 20 yards up the field, whatever it is, whatever you can get to it, kick it out of bounds. Because you were right. There was max protect. You know you're not going to be able to field that well or cover that well. And listen, the Demon Knights made them pay. They did what they had to do, but they need this play to stay in the game.
Yep.
Caballero under center. It's Beasley behind him. And he's going to take it himself. On the keeper, gains it for the 2-point conversion. Just had enough real estate to make it 16-8. The Dolphins lead cut in half. And we'll be seeing an onside kick here, Joe. I would believe here, even though ESDK has all 3 of their timeouts remaining. And that's the other thing to think about here too, Joe, because with field position, do you kick the onside kick and give yourself a chance to recover it and get the ball immediately, or do you kick it as far as possible? You know Caballero can get it deep. He has a very good leg. Do you kick it the length, stop the clock 3 times, and try to get it back?
I'm going with that squib kick again. I'm going to try and squib it and race for the football. Put the Dolphins in a position where they need to recover it on the squib. I think a true onside kick would force you to go too far. The Dolphins seem to have shored up their punting game since the first half, but they've shown no signs they can get a first down, Dave.
Yeah.
They've gotten maybe 2 since the quarterback change. So knowing that as Empire State, I'm inclined to kick it away, and who knows, maybe on the kickoff you end up with another fumble. But I like the squib. I think the squib gives you a chance without completely sacrificing field position.
And one thing, and we are a long way away from this, Joe, but if the Demon Knights score and score a 2-point conversion, we are not seeing overtime in this game.
No.
It has gotten really dark here really fast, and you got to figure that's at least 5-10 minutes into the future. And this game would go down as a tie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If somehow ESDK finds themselves scoring another touchdown and conversion. We're away from that. Let's see what the Demon Knights have cooked up. They are going to squib it. It's on the ground. Great job by the Dolphins to get on top of it. That was Butler Jr., and that's where the Dolphins will take over. Just outside the 50 or inside the 50. Either way, the Empire State Demon Knights, we know there are about 1 minute and 40 seconds left in this game, if that, they will be able to stop the clock 3 times. The Dolphins will run it 3 times.
That was a pure onside. Will they, Dave? Will they run it 3 times? That was a pure onside kick in my estimation. Now, I think you're right. The Dolphins will probably run it 3 times here. But I have to say, though I was surprised they passed, it was well executed until the ball was fumbled. Bowers was wide open on the first attempt at that play, and the throw was poor. So they failed on the throw the first time. On the second time, they completed the pass, and he fumbled. Mm-hmm. You got the ball to him. He had room to run. The Demon Knights did get there and ultimately stripped the football, but you can't really hate the play call because effectively it worked. You got the look you wanted. You have to trust your players to execute, and they did not. So I'm not faulting the coordinator on that play. The throw to the flat anyway is now we have whistles coming in, and
well, they're calling in the chain gang to get back where they should be. And yeah, that's going to be the theme for both of these teams, regardless of who wins and who loses. Both teams made their share of mistakes. Now, granted, the Dolphins did lose their starting quarterback here in the late stages of the first half, and of course that I think has impacted the way the game has been called a little bit for the Dolphins. But either way, both teams have made mistakes. Both teams have to clean some things up. There were some penalties as well. They get the proper ball in play, but it is getting dark here. And without the benefits of my binoculars, I really can't see anyone's jersey anymore. It's the backs of the jerseys anyway, from our vantage point. We hope you at home could still see it bright and clear enough. But
they can't.
They can't. It's tough. I could see the screen that Tyler's looking at, and it does look – the camera's trying its best to keep things lit up here, but it has gotten extremely dark out here.
Yeah, I'm watching it too on a second screen, and not a great look at those uniform numbers.
A fullback and a halfback in the backfield. The give is to Samuel, taken down by Beasley, and they'll have an immediate timeout, as expected by the Demon Knights. They have 2 left after this one.
Was that a direct snap?
No, it was not.
It was not, okay.
There was a fullback in the backfield and Samuel, and the give was to Samuel. Just I formation, A-gap run right there.
All right.
As vanilla as you can get, Joe.
And I think that's the right call. Now, if you get in 3rd down and long, assuming you get nothing on the first 2 downs, is there any thought giving to passing? I'm inclined to say no, obviously, but
no way.
Okay. I agree with you. I was just looking for perhaps a devil's advocate, another perspective like we had before. As you said, timeout was called. Now, there are lights on the building. So you do have that, and you also have the street lights that are behind the Demon Knights bench. Only one of those seems to have peeked through the trees, but you can see it from here. So we won't be in total darkness in the next few minutes, but we are getting there.
Either way, once this game is over, we will do a lightning quick ending to this game on the air anyway, so that we can pack up in the darkness and get out of here as well. But here we go. Same formation, I formation, Samuel the deep back, and he will keep it himself, does Jones Allen, and he gets tossed down like a rag doll deep in the backfield. The Demon Knights were not having it. Great open field tackle by Justin Stewart. They call their second timeout.
Well, Dave, the Demon Knights have to be careful because what they could have had there was a flag for taunting.
Absolutely.
And if the official wanted to, they could have thrown it because I think by the letter of the law that was taunting. I'm very happy they didn't throw it. You don't want to see a game decided that way. That being said, the Dolphins are just in complete shambles right now. They can't gain positive yardage. A play like that, you can't have a play that goes for a loss of 7 or 8 yards.
Yep.
You just can't have that here. Even if you run it right up the middle and pick up nothing, that's okay.
Yep.
A play like that, you could fumble the football and give away 6 more points.
Right. Yeah, and that was very dangerous to being that way because Jones Allen was not expecting to have Stewart right on top of him the way he did. Now it's 3rd down and about 17 on the play, and the give will be to Samuel right up the middle. Does find a little bit of a hole, but gets converged on by Beasley, and the Demon Knights will use their 3rd and final timeout and will get the ball back.
That drive was a net -12, I think. More, maybe?
I guess it's like a 4th and, 20 or 15. It's kind of hard to
It looks
tell
like
here.
The stick that marks the line of scrimmage is further from the original first down marker than 20 yards because I'm looking at the original line of scrimmage on first down, and the stick that marks the current line of scrimmage is further away from the line to gain. So, man.
Well, I believe Bryant's coming out to – well, no. Now they do. Yeah, so Bryant is coming out to punt, and I was going to say, wow, are they really going for this?
This return
But I think the
is
Dolphins
big.
have now called the timeout.
They have, and I don't know how you're going to be able to play offense in this darkness. It is going to be tough.
Yeah.
And if you're the defense and you're defending on the pass, don't lose sight of that football. Don't be making body contact in the secondary. It's not a spot foul like it is in the NFL, but if you commit some penalties, that gives the Demon Knights a bit of extra yardage on this drive. They might need it. This return is going to be huge because if you're Empire State here, you don't want to be starting this drive deep in your own territory.
Well, the other thing is defensively, you have not given up any points. The points that came were on special teams, so I don't allow a return here, Joe. If I'm the punting team, and maybe this is what the Dolphins are discussing, you are punting this out of bounds. I don't care if it goes 10 yards, 15, 20 yards down the field. This ball should be going out of bounds because it's going to be hard to cover this punt too. And if I'm the Demon Knights, I'm coming after this kick because that, to me, is more important than the return at this point. I don't want the ball landing on the ground if I'm the return team, but I do want to put some heat on the punter here.
I think your decision-making here as the Demon Knights in terms of what you do depends on what you think the Dolphins are going to do. The Dolphins max protected on the last punt, and that cost them on the return.
It was Fisher who
The Demon Knights aren't coming for it, Dave. They have
they got the Gunners
2 guys back.
Covered up pretty well. And they got 2 guys back, 3 guys back, actually, Joe.
Including the return man 3, but 2 ahead of the return man.
Oh, and they got off to a fast start. I think the Demon Knights were offside, so I think the Dolphins will get a free 5 yards here. Obviously, it won't matter too much other than real estate. But Beasley was coming in hot on that left side.
Dave, that snap was terrible.
Yeah.
And if the Demon Knights were offsides, that is a huge break for the Dolphins. Another one in this spot where they really needed it because they had the fortunate break of, I guess you really can't call it that, but fortunately their quarterback held on to the football when he was violently thrown down. I believe on second down it was, that play was run. And now we are waiting for the call. Is it on the Dolphins?
It's on the Dolphins.
Yeah.
It is on the Dolphins.
Boy.
So it was maybe to prepare for the Beasley rush in from the left side. Beasley's been in that backfield a lot today defensively, aside from him carrying the ball on the offensive side. So the Demon Knights might get the ball in even better position. We haven't been able to eavesdrop what the correct time is. Not much. Figure about 1:10 perhaps. Here we go. Bryant has to receive the snap and does. It's a clean one, and they are punting it directly out of bounds.
That's the game ball, Dave.
Free ball in the neighborhood. If you're somewhere off of Bedford Avenue, there's an NFL legal ball out there. And, Joe, that ball did not travel very far. That was maybe 5 or 10 yards. Now, Bryant got into that pretty well.
Dave.
That was a nice punt. It just was too much on a line out of bounds.
You know, I agree with the decision to kick it out of bounds, but there's a lot of time left. They just gave him the ball effectively at the 30 or the 35-yard line. And if you're the Demon Knights, you have to be thrilled with this position you're in.
Yep.
That being said, and I think it could very easily get lost in, you know, all of the decision-making in this game that will be questioned, but Dolphins defense had a great game.
Yeah,
they really did. The Demon Knights defense played really well too. And we know that this New York team can score. We saw it in week 1. We know that Empire State can score. We saw it against the Dolphins earlier this year. Both of these defenses had really nice games tonight. And if you're the Demon Knights here, you can't ask for a much better position given where you were following the onside kick. And now they will get started from the 35 with a chance to tie it, given they convert on the 2-point try following a touchdown.
Push comes to shove. The Dolphins defense has scored more points than the Demon Knights offense, but you can throw all that out because the Demon Knights are in contention. They go. Ball was on the ground. It's still being fumbled. And can the Demon Knights get on top of it? I lost the ball about 4 times there. That ball is still out, Joe, and it looks like the Demon Knights did not get on it. Let's see. It is Dolphins football, and that'll do it. That is game.
And there's a Demon Knight down. That might be Grizzle, but I'm not sure if that's
Joe,
for an injury or for, his helmet came off, Dave.
Yep, and he was going for the ball on the scrum. You could see it just bouncing around. Dolphins think they have it there, but it was still out. Ooh, and I think that's where Grizzle lost his helmet and got.
I'm not sure that's his helmet in hindsight, but.
Hard to pick up, though. We are so far away, and it is under the cover of darkness here.
Yeah, I think they're going to end the game right there. They're not going to force the Dolphins to kneel it, and they will shake hands here. So it was going to be tough for Empire State to put the ball in the air in that spot. Obviously, they had to find a way to generate yards without having to put all of the burden on their passing game. And I think on that particular play, they had a decent look. Grizzle bobbled the exchange with the quarterback, and that play was dead on arrival once that happened.
So we have gone officially final. The Empire State Demon Knights, with I believe was their 4th turnover of the game. It ended the first half. They have another one to end the game itself. They put a scare into the Dolphins late, but the New York Dolphins score a 16-8 win. Joe, we'll wrap it up pretty quickly. The Dolphins stay undefeated. The Demon Knights were pesky enough. They were tested in the second half, but the Dolphins have shown good ability on both sides of the ball, especially their defense today was top-notch.
Certainly was. There was a lot of positives to take away for both teams on the defensive side. I think that's something that very easily will get lost when we look back at this game later in the season. It shouldn't be. These defenses put together really strong efforts tonight. Obviously, there were issues throughout the game for both offenses. That being said, The Dolphins did lose their starting quarterback in the game, and the Demon Knights just had issues with pass protection. It was an issue for much of the game. You can't put all of the fault on Caballero. The pick six really did hurt, but he didn't have much time to get the football out on many different plays, and I think that really impacted Empire State's play calling as they tried to get the scores they needed to come back in this one.
Okay, so that will do it for us. Once again, your final score, the Dolphins 16, the Demon Knights 8. The Dolphins move to 3-0 on the season. The Demon Knights fall to 1 win and 2 losses. Both the Dolphins will be back in action next week against the Mountaineers. And the Demon Knights will have a bye next week. Bandits and Legion are the other game next week. As far as PDF Sports Network is concerned, we are not sure if we will be hosting a game next week. We might see you next 2 weeks from now to cover some EFA. Right now, that is the plan. But, of course, do keep it locked on our website, pdfsportsnet.com. Our YouTube page, youtube.com/@PDFSportsNet. We will have our live links up there. Of course, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well at PDF Sportsnet. And that's the best way to find out what games we will cover next. Of course, look for some other semi-pro going on. The Jersey Sharks are also a part of the PDF Sports Network. We'll have some of their stuff later this month and into October. Old Bridge High School football returns next weekend as well. We're covering their entire slate this season. But that will do it for us for today. For our camera operator, Patrick Gialorenzo, for our engineer, Tyler Clark, for Joseph Foreman, I'm David Pizzuto, wishing you a great rest of the evening, a great rest of the weekend. Thank you for joining us on your home for the EFA. It's the PDF Sports Network.